Starting. I believe we are now live on the internet. And there I am. Hey, everybody. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. I do apologize for that. I keep meaning to do these like way more frequently. And then for whatever reason, life happens and it just never works out. Just trying to have someone to help run the chat board with me. I keep taking longer to get back to doing these than I mean to. Hopefully this fall, as the release schedule of big releases slows down a little bit, this can be a more regular thing. Well, look, we got a little visitor that just decided to walk up on camera. Say hi to the camera. Hey, you're famous now. Hey, famous little baby. That was unplanned. So anyway, my wife is running the chat board over here. I'm experimenting with my little new mic here. I have been for about a week now, but looking to do some podcasting stuff where I'll have my fun mic right here in my eye line so I can just see the prettiness as it's there right in front of me. Wife is right. Wife, secret wife. Can you say hello?
I'm not a secret wife.
What do you mean you're not a secret wife?
I'm not a secret.
Oh, well, sometimes it seems like you're a secret. So anyway, if you guys want to start throwing your questions in there, she will start asking me some questions very shortly, and we can have a fun, exciting little live stream. No clue how long we're going to go. Our two older kids are gone, so I guess it probably depends on how long this one decides to behave here and doesn't cause enormous amounts of trouble. So, what's our first question that you have for us?
You haven't got it.
You don't have a question for me yet.
I just haven't found you.
Well, I could just keep talking about other stuff. So I am looking to start a podcast in about a month. So my idea is that I'll live stream it initially, so here to YouTube, and then I'll put the audio version on the internet the next day or so. However that it plays out, I'm not quite sure exactly, but that's coming in about a month. Also, one of the reasons I probably don't do as many live streams on my main channel is that every Saturday I do a live stream on my Patreon page. Every Saturday, I think 2 p.m. Central Time. And they're kind of fun because there's about 10 people in there, so I can answer everybody's questions. I can get to know everybody a little bit. So any level, if you support me over on Patreon, that's every Saturday we kind of do these. What's our first question?
Do you think the new Joker movie is going to be any good?
I mean, the trailers look good. The talent in front of and behind the camera all looks really good. The big question to me about the Joker movies, I just don't know what it is. That's what makes it so strange, is because they got the DCEU, but it looks like this is a totally separate thing. It's directed by the director of The Hangover, but it's produced by Martin Scorsese. Then you got Joaquin Phoenix, who only does very interesting stuff. So it's one of these movies that I just don't know what to make of it. The trailers look like they're taking the material very seriously and doing Taxi Driver with the Joker. But, so I mean, all signs seem good that it'll be a good movie, but it seems interesting.
Do you like pizza?
Yeah, I'm a human, so yeah, of course I like pizza. We have pizza at the Chandler household quite a bit.
Would you rather direct an MCU movie or a DC movie?
I mean, would I rather direct a DCEU movie or a Marvel movie? I mean, it depends on the property. It's not really about, is it this studio or that studio? That doesn't... Who cares? I mean, like, directing... Would I rather direct a Batman movie or would I rather direct Namor? Well, I'd much rather direct Batman. Would I rather direct a movie about Elongated Man or Iron Man? I'm going to go with Iron Man. So it's not really about the studio so much as the character that's picked for it.
Got a super chat?
Okay, actually, I have two super chats.
Oh, okay.
Super chat from Majestic Demon. Hey, Sean, love your videos. Ever thought about ranking your Taco Bell movies? I get this request constantly. This is ever since really the last 2 weeks, it's taken off with all the Hobbs and Shaw Fast and Furious discussion. So if you don't know what a Taco Bell movie is, Taco Bell movies are, to me, it's cinematic junk food. It's cinematic fast food. Easy to digest. I like Taco Bell. My family eats Taco Bell every Sunday after church, and so that's what we enjoy. Some people hate Taco Bell because, makes you sick afterwards. Other people love McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, all these different fast food places. We all have the different ones that we love. And so the idea of this is that we all have these movies that, on paper, if you want to explain to me how dumb, how illogical Hobbs and Shaw is, these Fast and Furious movies are, Jurassic World is, They're dumb. Yeah, I mean, I can't really defend them. And if you say they're just too dumb for me, I can't suspend that much disbelief. I'm tracking with you. I'm not going to argue with you at the point. I get it. I get what you're saying. They're still incredibly enjoyable and rewatchable for me. So that's where I kind of talk about them as, Taco Bell movies or cinematic fast food. I'm getting a lot of requests for my top 10 Taco Bell movies. I don't really have a list. It's a phrase that I started when this channel rolled around. And so then I put out one or two of them every single year. It kind of originated with Jurassic World and Fast 5. Movies like that are very much so where that came from. But, so yeah, that's the origin of it. I'm going to do a ranking of them or a top 10 at some point in time. It just hasn't happened quite yet because the requests are pretty new. Mythics123 with a super chat. Thank you so much. The best channel. You have astounding tastes in channels. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. Cool Player with the super chat. Thank you so much. You didn't have a question. If you can look for Cool Player in the super chat to see if maybe he missed his question, that would be appreciated. I got one more super chat in here, and then we'll jump back over onto the regular one. Kevin Martinez, what's your favorite movie of the year that's not Marvel? So I put out a video a month ago that's the best and worst of the first half of the year, and then I put out a video the best and worst of the summer. So those videos kind of elaborate onto all of this a little bit more, on all of my thoughts on this. If you're talking about just purely non-Marvel, the next one on the list for me right now, I believe, is Toy Story 4. It's not Marvel. It's still under Disney. I thought it was really good. I thought they did a great job with it. If you step down from there, one that's not big, it's not Disney, not a franchise. I think it's Dragged Across Concrete. It's a smaller film, got Vince Vaughn. Mel Gibson is from S. Craig Zoller. He's kind of like a Tarantino-esque director. Longer scenes, heavy dialogue, little criminal underworld. So it's kind of like 90s Tarantino type things. And to some people, I imagine he's been outdoing Tarantino recently. His first movie is actually a Western. So there's a lot of overlap with some Tarantino type stuff. So those would be kind of the two that would be right off that. If you can throw me a question from the regular.
Started watching you because of your Office video. Who
Yes.
likes The Office better, you or your wife?
I don't know that there is I don't know that there's a winner on that one. We're both pretty on board. It's one of those shows that kind of has been a defining thing in our marriage. So when we'd been married a year, our apartment got robbed. 1 week before our 1 year anniversary, apartment got robbed. And so then, we switched where we were living, a lot of shuffling around. And right around this time, then Get Smart came out. We went to go see it. We really enjoyed it. And then we went, this Steve Carell guy's really funny. Now my dog's showing up on camera. Got a lot of guests in this video. So, really enjoyed it. He goes, we got this show called The Office. And so we just started watching it. And that was summer 2008 that happened. And we've just been watching it on loop ever since, especially seasons 1 through 4. Those ones have really, after that, not so much. Some episodes we really enjoyed, but not as much. So, we both just kind of, it's been one of those key ones inside of our marriage. Cade Zuka had a super chat. No question involved on that one. Thank you so much for that. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Very cool of you. Quick Scope with a super chat as well. You think X-Men movies should have ended with Logan? Well, it's tough to say because Deadpool 2 falls in that universe as well. And, I mean, they go to the X-Mansion, Colossus's, and it's very clearly X-Men. I mean, talk about joining the X-Men. So, I'm totally... Deadpool 2, I was a little disappointed with it, but I think it's totally a good movie. Just a little bit too much in it. So, if ending with Logan meant we didn't get Deadpool 2, no, I don't think so. If you mean that in the more specifically, a little bit more proper X-Men movies, Logan's not really a proper X-Men movie, but you got Chucky Xavier in there. So if you do call it that, if it meant that we didn't end on Dark Phoenix, I would agree with you that I wish that we hadn't ended with Dark Phoenix. It was a very disappointing movie and a very sour note to end such an important franchise on. If you can give me a regular one.
Saddest horror film you've seen?
Saddest horror film? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. What's the one that I've come home and be like, is there one that I've kind of told you that?
I don't know that my answer is going to be fair because it's going to be based on my reaction to what you said, and that's is it The Fog? Is that a horror movie? Oh,
the Mist. The Mist is the answer. That's right. It's a good call. Good call. That's what I was looking for. The Mist is without question the most depressing movie with where that movie.
Seen it and it makes
so I knew
sad to think
there's
about.
kind of like 3 just shockingly horrible things that happen in the last 3 minutes or last minute of the movie. I knew I think 1 or 2 of them when I watched it. And I knew it was depressing, so I was like ready for that. And then the other 2 things happened. It was like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. This is brutal. So, The Mist is a brutal finale to a film. Nebulous Mayhem with the super chat. Thank you so much. Which Green Lantern would you want to see the most, and what actors should play them? Oh, that's casting ones off the top of my head are pretty difficult because there's just too many things to consider. Like the reason we're doing this live stream is I was going to do an X-Men casting today, and I just couldn't get it written. Like last night we watched through a whole bunch of videos of other people's castings. I was taking notes. I was just kind of going through lists of actors that aren't in the MCU and writing names down. Today we had this whole field trip, and I just couldn't come up with all the actors in time, so that's why we're doing all this. But so, I normally go towards, I would go with Hal Jordan. I would just kind of default to the most popular one, but with Green Lantern, there's not really a bad option in the mix. If you go with Jon Stewart, that's the one that probably my son knows a little bit more because of the Justice League cartoons. And so I think any one of them can go well. I really don't have an actor in mind. And I think with the nature, I just don't know. I don't have a pitch off the top of my head, unfortunately, to give you a bit more of a satisfying answer.
What's your favorite Funko Pop?
Favorite one? So my wife bought me the Stan Lee. That's, I'm assuming, just some sort of ghetto thing that someone printed somewhere.
It totally is.
Like, it's in a shady box and everything. So my wife got that one for me. So that one's pretty cool. And people ask me about it constantly, and just, with his passing. So Stan Lee with the Infinity Gauntlet, that's really cool.
It was shady when I ordered it, just for the record.
And I don't know if it's.
Oh, it's shady.
And then, of course, Sexy Ian Malcolm. That's always been just such a fun idea for one of those. As for just a classic, nothing quirky about it, just because I'm such a Daredevil fan of the TV show. Black Suit Daredevil is huge for me. And then a fan of mine sent me the Flash one that I have. They sent it in the mail, and that was pretty cool. So I very much appreciated that one. So that one's always had a special place in my heart as well. Got a super chat from Techno Thomas. He said, "What are you most excited for in 2020?" There's our Flash right there. All right, my mind is so not on 2020. So that's a little bit tricky for me because my mind's not thinking 2020 yet. Oh man, what trying to even it's really like I'm mapping out into 2019, and so thinking through how excited I am about Star Wars, but I really have barely started to even think about next year, unfortunately. So Wonder Woman would be one, of course. I really like the first one, so I'm very curious what they're going to do with this one. They seem to do much better with their standalone movies. Is this our first standalone DCU sequel in our mix? So that's not, let's throw Batman in there too. So can they do a good job? This Birds of Prey movie, I can't say that I'm excited. I'm curious about it. Curious is the right word for that one. Off the top of my head, those are the ones that come to mind. Unfortunately, I just don't. I don't have the list in front of me, so it's tough for me to kind of pull it out without having looked into it a little bit deeper. Cade Zuka with a super chat. Got your question in there. We got, do you think Endgame deserves to be the #1 spot in the world? Well, does it deserve it? It can mean a lot of different things. As a movie that is the culmination of 21 movies before it, that was beloved, that was well received by critics, audience loved it. It was a cultural event. In that regard, it makes more sense to me that it was #1 than, say, Avatar. Avatar was a very weird cultural event because it was such a big blockbuster, but it's not a movie that really shifted culture. Like, people don't remember that they're called the Na'vi and things like that. They don't remember the name of the characters. They don't know who Quaritch is. And so in that regard, in certain ways, I think it deserves it more than Avatar. Now, on other regards, what James Cameron accomplished in a standalone movie that did that, the magic of James Cameron to get people to buy tickets is astounding. That movie did that and isn't as beloved of a movie. So it depends on what you mean. I'm not, the fact that they did the re-release, and I mean that stuff doesn't, to me, diminish the fact that it's number one, because Avatar had a re-release, and I just don't, like, in inflation and things, like, I don't factor any of that in. I just kind of accept the fact that it was an incredible achievement. Every movie that's ever been number one, that was an incredible achievement. The market's changed so much. Every 10 years, especially every 20 years, insane amounts every 30 years, that you can't really compare different eras. And so then you just say, this era, Endgame gets to be the champ. Avatar was the champ for 10 years. Titanic was the champ for 10 years. And so then just different people have been the champ at different points of times. And I think we just have to, I just accept it that way. What do we got over there?
So much.
Yeah. Let's fly through like 3 years real quick.
Are you excited for Rise of Skywalker?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, the camera's sitting on a stack of Star Wars books right now. Of course, I love Star Wars. I was on the disappointed side for Last Jedi. I didn't like what Rian Johnson did, but it's not like, it ruined my childhood. I'm not in that camp at all. It's like, okay, they took risks, they tried some things, and I don't think it was the right risk to take. I don't really begrudge them for making some weird choices. You have to do some weird stuff, and sometimes it doesn't pay off, and it didn't pay off for me. But I'm still excited. I was a big fan. I'm a big fan of all of J.J. Abrams' works. I think he makes really good roller coaster ride movies. A little bit on the shallow side. Of course, The Force Awakens does some rehashing of A New Hope, but I enjoyed the ride a lot. And so I'm going into it very optimistic that it'll be a fun time. The actually bringing back Palpatine Sidious, that's the thing about it that I'm probably the most nervous of, going, I don't know about that. But, beyond that, I think I'm going to have a fun time with it. That's the big thing.
Thoughts on Arrested Development if you watch it?
So we've watched through the first 4 seasons. So the original run, and then the first Netflix season. We haven't watched the second Netflix season, or maybe there've been 2 additional ones. But so we watched the first Netflix season from several years back. And it's one of those shows that we've always enjoyed, always laughed at whenever we do put it on. It is a show that requires a bigger investment. To really appreciate it, you gotta watch it, pay attention to it, and then rewatch it 3 times to catch everything. And that's a little bit more than I think we want to invest into the show, in which case it's not one that we go back to as much. One more from you, and then we'll jump over to the Super Chats.
Growing up, what was your favorite video game?
I played a lot of Legend of Zelda. I played a lot of Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Tetris on my Game Boy. When I was a teenager, Warcraft 2 was massive for me. And then in middle school, first discovered first-person shooters. So I loved the original, Doom 1 and Doom 2. And then in high school, Duke Nukem 3D was a big deal for me.
The video game you just rented, Doom?
That was Wolfenstein, some new version of it. I did not like this new version. I did rent Doom, but I didn't get it downloaded in time to play it. So I keep going to Redbox and renting movies, and they're like, do you want a free video game rental? I'm like, sure, if you'll give me a thing for free, I'll rent it. And then I have to download for like 5 hours, and so I don't end up playing them and return them real quick. But, okay. Whew. Got a bunch of Super Chat questions I need to fly through on here. Jake Loggins, you have an excitement for movies that I have. That is awesome. Thanks for being a movie fan, and thanks for being excited about movies too. Too much chair with the Super Chat. Thank you so much. What's your favorite Keanu Reeves movie? I think I have to go with The Matrix. The original Matrix, I think, is just a little bit too much of a sci-fi classic, a martial arts action movie classic. It's so many genres as a classic, and so I love it. Speed, also another movie that I love. We rewatched it last week.
Call Me Maybe.
His cameo in that is one of the best. Yeah, Call Me Maybe, the one from a month ago or 2 months ago. One of the best. Probably it'll be the best cameo of the year. Even better than the Hobbs and Shaw stuff. Like this one was. Cool. It's more of a bit part, but it was great. All right, Super Chat from Badass Films. Dude, you ever make short films? I've done a ton of scripted video work. My friends. I've debated sharing this. So my friends and I, back when...
Don't do it. You can never take it back.
Yeah, when I was in high school, there's a girl that several of us were friends with. Her, or 2 of these girls, they wrote a script. And they wanted to make a movie out of it. Never did. Printed scripts. I mean, I was going to be the fight choreographer. Passed the scripts out to everybody. And then... Buddy... in a kind of an awkward spot there. And he was licking my wife's leg, which was distracting me. So they had this script, and I think it was our sophomore year in college, or they were in college. I was kind of in college at community college, and we decided to shoot it. And so we made this into a movie. And there is a trailer for it on YouTube. It's still out there. And I'm in there with long hair, and you can see my fight choreography and everything. And I debate sharing it in some form or fashion in some sort of place on the internet. The big reason I don't is by the time I had the thought to share this, or that it became interesting to show you some of my work that I've done in that nature, and it's awful. It's very bad, intentionally bad. I would want to contact everybody in the video to make sure that they were comfortable being in it, and I just don't want to do that. I don't want to have to contact like 10 people to be like, hey, can I show this? I know there's 3 or 4 of them that wouldn't care at all, and I see them constantly. The other ones I'd have to track them down. I don't want to do that. But I've done a ton of scripted stuff of different things from church world and things like that. So have I made some short films? I haven't done stuff to like submit to somewhere else. I did voice work for a friend of mine's short film that has done some stuff, and I have an IMDb credit for it, but beyond that, I have not. Flubber Nubs with the super chat. Thank you so much. Have you seen the Prince of Egypt's thought on it? Actually, I haven't.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know if you knew that. I've never seen the Prince of Egypt. I'm familiar with the story because, that whole being a pastor thing for 8 years. But I haven't seen the movie. And so people ask me, like, you should direct the DreamWorks movies. Like, there's so many of them I haven't seen. And I don't rewatch all of them anyway. But so that was one that was like, oh, man, I probably need to see that one of these days. That seems like something I'm missing. Let's run through a few years real quick.
Do you think Tim Burton should make a third Batman movie?
Do I think no. I think he's lost his game. He's lost his magic. The weirdo guy that could do really great stuff in the 80s and 90s. I think he's been the blockbuster guy for too long, and I think he lost his weirdness that had that spark. And then beyond that, he made better Tim Burton movies than he did Batman movies. Those are Burton superhero movies, not really Batman movies. I mean, he kills people. There's a bunch. He's made changes to the mythology, so there's issues with it. If you take them as just adaptations of Batman, there's problems. As much as I love them, as much as they're important to my childhood, they're just a little bit more complicated than that. So I wouldn't. I don't think I wouldn't. I would have liked to have had his third one instead of the Joel Schumacher two, but easy there, champ.
You like comic book movies, but do you like to read comics?
I don't nearly as much as I want to. I mean, I bought some comics. I don't keep up with anything. I don't really like new stuff. I only read old stuff. But literally, I got this in the mail, the graphic novel for the unused Alien 3 script from William Gibson. I did a video on it at the beginning of June. They finally released it in this form. I bought Flashpoint a couple weeks back, and then I bought the Ultimates a couple weeks back. Ultimates is what the Avengers is sort of based on, a sort of modernization. It's kind of where Nick Fury that looks like Samuel L. Jackson came from. But so I do some reading of comics, but not nearly as much as I should. I wish I could dive in more into it. Majestic Demon with the super chat. Thank you so much. I just finished watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Have never heard you talk about it. What's your take on the movie? So I haven't watched it in a long time. It's Robert Zemeckis. So I of course, because of Back to the Future and many other things, love his work. Watched it a ton growing up, even though it traumatized me. It's a movie that was like, hey, look, a cute rabbit. And then there's like sexual innuendo about affairs. The part where Doom takes the shoe and puts it in the dip is truly like horrifying stuff. Because it's a sentient creature that's sweet and cute, begging for its life. And so it's a movie that I like. Very weird that how dark they went with some of that stuff, for how like Acme brick on the head they also went with the humor. I'd need to rewatch it to be able to give you a Sean Chandler take on it. So I'm telling you my memories of watching it as a child. Like, I watched it all the time. It was traumatizing. But I'd have to watch it again to give you a review. Like, what would you score it? I have no clue. I have no clue what I would score the movie. Jack Lagos was the super chat. Wish we could watch a movie together because of that. Sometimes I wonder, like, people frequently, I wish we could talk movies, sit down and hang out. And it's tough to know how I would respond because I'm actually really shy in person. And certain people I can liven up to, and I'm not the best at being the one to drive the conversation, but like whenever I'm on podcasts, I'm too chatty. When there's a camera and I can talk into a microphone, I'm suddenly a lot more outgoing. But in reality, I'm a very shy person. So like as an example, coming up in 6 weeks, I'm going to be at a film festival here in Austin. Chris Stuckman's going to be at it. He posted about it on Twitter. I don't know anyone more YouTube famous than myself. So Chris Stuckman's going to be at it. I've been watching his videos, 7 years or something like that. So I'm curious to like be able to talk to him or whatever. Dude, what are you doing?
Stop. Come here.
He's a troublemaker. He's messing up my shelves. So Chris Stuckman's going to be at this, and all I really want to do is get like a selfie with him. I, of course, would love to have a conversation with him, but I'm too shy to try and have a conversation with him. Like the idea of like walking up to him, and he's also taller than me, and I'm pretty tall, and so he's like 6'4". Like he's a giant. He's a true giant. I'm tall, and he's a giant.
Someone suggested you were his and Jeremy John's love child.
It's not the worst comparison, and I thought to offer to him like I could walk up to him, hey man, if you need to shoot a video while you're in town, I could take my posters down. It's basically your set, so that could be a lot of fun. But I'm too shy. I don't. So I'll probably find a way to get the selfie. Maybe there's some scenario where I actually talk to him, but I'm a very shy person in real life, and not the best at even knowing what to do with those. What do you got for me?
Any thoughts on Don Bluth films?
Yeah, I mean, but we're that age where those were kind of better than Disney for a little bit there, or a little bit more iconic with Secret of Nim, American Tail. They did the Land Before Time, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so a little bit darker, a little bit heavier one. So
Selena, Anastasia.
Those are the later ones. I didn't watch those ones. That's.
Like,
I'm way.
Are so traumatizing. Yeah. Like I watch them all the time, but I can't anymore.
That seems to be a recurring theme of the last few questions of traumatizing things from our movies from our childhood. So, I watched a lot of them. We haven't shown them to our kids for that reason. Like, we both remember them as like, oh yeah, those were like good movies from our childhood. I watched them all the time, but they traumatized me. So we're not traumatizing our kids with them yet. We'll probably wait, another 6 weeks, and then we'll start traumatizing them right around Thanksgiving of this year. Connor Diaz with a super chat. Thank you so much. Will you see Peanut Butter Falcon? It's great. I probably won't see it in the theater. I don't think I'll be able to catch it in the theater. I was invited to see it at the press screening a week ago. But the way the universe played out, that I had a press screening, I was invited to that one on Monday, and then Tuesday I don't remember what I saw. Like I had 3 press screenings last week. Kitchen? Yeah, that's right. It was. You remember this better than me. So it's The Kitchen, then it's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and then I wanted to take my kids to go see Dora, and then we had Angry Birds, and so I already had 4 times I was going to the movies, and so one of them had to give, and that's the one that I suspected probably wouldn't do as well on my channel. So that was kind of the deciding factor. That's unfortunately with the reality of my income comes from this stuff, like deciding sometimes I got to go with the one that sometimes I'll lose money if I have to drive across town. It's 45 minutes to get there on some of this stuff. So that's somewhat how I decided. And that smaller films like that don't play on my end of the Austin area. I'm like super far northeast, and they normally are on west side of town, and a lot further south. And so that's unfortunately the problem. There's also a super chat from the Royal Flush MK2. No question on that one. Thank you so much for the super chat. You got a question for me?
What's your wife's favorite movie?
What is my wife's favorite movie?
I don't have a wife. What's your wife's favorite movie?
That's true. That's true. What is your husband's wife's favorite movie?
Are you saying you don't know?
They asked a question I think they want you to answer. I know what you're going to...
They clearly said, what's your wife's favorite movie?
I'm going to say Jaws.
That is the correct answer.
So, and here's a crazy fun fact. She introduced me to Jaws. I'd never seen it.
Ridiculous.
And I mean, it's just one of those ones, I just hadn't seen it. I loved Steven Spielberg when I met her, when we got married. I'd seen a ton of his movies. Of course, Indiana Jones, so important to my childhood. I mean, I saw Last Crusade in the theater in 1989. I met her in 2005, and I hadn't seen Jaws. And then she showed it to me, and I'm like, yeah, it's a classic. I love it. It's amazing. So, her favorite is Jaws. What's number 2? What would be a next one?
I don't know. It's kind of hard because even with saying Jaws is my favorite, it's such a weird, like, if I'm going to just pick a movie to watch, it's not always Jaws.
Right. Like, and mine aren't either. That's what makes it so tough for me. But I mean, she said she's down with Die Hard a lot.
Love Die Hard.
Probably more so than me. She proposes watching Die Hard.
I'd probably have to pick while you were sleeping.
Yeah, so I was about to say while you were sleeping. Sweet Home Alabama was one you watched on loop for a long time.
It's a good one.
So
but it's not. I don't know if it's a.
But you just look at that, like, pretty eclectic little batch right there. Penn Oldham, Oldham.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, Hobbs and Shaw is the new one. She probably got me more into Fast and Furious than I got her into that because she's a car person. And so kind of when I got on the train really was when Fast 5 came out and she's like, let's go to the midnight showing. And that's one of my favorite movie experiences because there was all the cars in the parking lot. It's just such a weird, crazy night. Penn Oldham with the super chat. Which movie in this millennium do you think has had the most impact on your career and cinematic history? P.S. I love your videos so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. So most impact on my career... Iron Man?
I didn't hear the question.
So, two-part. Which movie of this millennium has had the most impact on my career? So, the invention of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that it works, that I love it, I think that's the one that's most important. Specifically, when Thor Ragnarok came out, I had a video that took off that was such a big deal that... I basically turned down a job that I was interviewing for, and like it was like, am I going to go back to trying a job, or am I going to try and make this YouTube thing work? Thor Ragnarok was one that turned things around, and then Black Panther was when things exploded for my channel. A lot of you watching right now probably first watched a video that came out right after Black Panther. What do you got for me? Excuse me. And he said, and which one the most about cinematic history? I might say Iron Man again. Because it's such a popular franchise, because it's been so influential, and I play in the entertainment realm of cinema. I'm not the art, the drama. That's not my strong suit. Other people could make a strong argument for maybe a more dramatic film. I still think Iron Man as you think who's the biggest movie star of the last 10 years? Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Jon Favreau is like this dominant A-list director that just even just to put out this Lion King movie, directed Iron Man. So I think Iron Man is a movie that, because it's part of the MCU and there's movies that a lot of people think a lot of movies are better than it gets overlooked. It's a movie that changed the game. It changed my life. So she didn't even know who Iron Man was when we first saw the trailer for it. She's like, well, who's Iron Man? We saw the poster, we saw the trailer. She's like, that looks like a really good movie. Like, what is that? I was like, you don't know who Iron Man is? I guess he's not A-list, so I guess that makes sense. And now he's as A-list as it is.
What do you think of The Good Place?
We've never seen it. I've never seen it. You've seen it?
I've seen some of it.
Oh, what do you think about it?
Well, I was intrigued. I saw the trailer or whatever for it on the plane on one of my trips. And I thought, that looks like a show I would like. And I started to watch it, and I don't know. I love, what's her face? Can't think of her name.
I don't even know who's in it.
Your wife.
You're my wife.
I know.
She thinks she stars in it?
She's married to Dax Shepard. I'm totally blanking on her name. I know.
Kristen Bell?
Yes.
My wife?
Well,
because she's married to Dax. So people say I look like Dax Shepard, like she.
Dax.
So her. So I guess that's a weird way to say that, because normally when you say your wife, it's some sort of like a girl
Jennifer
that
Lawrence.
I think is the one that would make more sense is Jennifer Lawrence. Her maiden name was Jennifer Lawrence, and so that became really funny to us when Jennifer Lawrence became this massive A-list actress. Quick scope with a super chat. Are you excited for the Crisis Arrowverse crossover? That's a bit of a tongue twister. Yeah, I'm. The thing that has got me excited about it is that they, Brandon Routh, Superman, Kevin Conroy as Batman. That's cool. As someone that I think Batman the Animated Series is the greatest animated show of all time. That's my childhood, Batman the Animated Series. I think it's phenomenal and has aged better than almost anything. Him actually playing live action Batman is a gift to the fans. Arrowverse in general, I think I'm running on fumes on staying with it. The last few seasons have really not held my attention. The more I think about how this season of Arrow ended, it's kind of heartbreaking sort of finale to a season. And something that it almost feels like a cynical move that they're doing another season because it ended. That is really the end of the series, but it's like, but we got 10 more episodes to set the crossover up. That seems offensive to me, kind of. I didn't watch Arrow to see this crossover episode. I'm excited to see it, But when you extend the show and resolve the concept of the series the way they did, and then it stretched out for 10 more episodes to get to the crossover, that's pretty heartbreaking to me. Cole Pratt with Super Chat. What's your favorite video game? I don't really have a favorite. I mentioned earlier, and there's some big ones, that probably the biggest game of my whole life was Warcraft 2. That was massive for years. 10 years after that, Call of Duty Modern Warfare was huge, about 10 years ago for me. And then 5-ish years ago, Batman Arkham City, massive. And then PlayStation 4, Spider-Man, really cool. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is a phenomenal little game, what they're able to do with that, as well as 3 and I did San Andreas, the one in the 80s. I also did that one for Grand Theft Auto 3. I thought that was a very well done game. I didn't do San Andreas is the one I didn't play. Vice City. Vice City's the spin-off one that I played. And I didn't like 4 really at all. Let's get a quick one from you.
What do you want in the new Indiana Jones?
A reboot? I don't want one right. I'd say I don't want one right now. I don't think. If we're going to do it, I want a reboot. Let's go back to the 30s. Indiana Jones fighting the rising Nazis, pre-World War II, fully breaking out. And he's relic hunting. And you're looking for the lost city of Atlantis. Chris Pratt might work. Chris Pratt, the Bobby Pruitt, I think, had probably the wisest thing that I've heard said about him. He can pull off the charismatic, the charmer, the action side to Indiana Jones. And that's why he can do kind of Star-Lord, Han Solo type things. But Indiana Jones is also really smart. And that's the one that I don't know that I buy him as smart. But I've liked other things. Like, he's got a lot of qualities. So if you could convince me that Chris Pratt is smart, I could be game for that. But I want to. It needs to go back in time. I don't want to see Harrison Ford at 78 years old. Harrison Ford was born in 1942. Do some simple math. If they start shooting this thing next year, 77, 78-year-old Indiana Jones in the 1970s, in the year 1980 or something like that. That's weird. Like, you start thinking like this movie might take place the year that the original Indiana Jones took place. Like, you go, what are we doing? It seems really odd to me, some of the stuff that they're doing with that. So I'd want the reboot. Mickey Pickett with the super chat. Thank you so much. Have you seen Ready or Not trailer? Yes, absolutely. I've seen it a number of times. It shows too much. I wish I'd seen it. The first half of it, stopped watching and went, I'm all on board on this. What are your thoughts? Loved it. I'm seeing it Monday. Pumped. I'm not even on the press list. I'm going to a press screening. I'm going to wait in a 3-hour line with my buddies to go see it. I'm very excited about this movie because it reminds me of like a funnier version of Your Next. A lot of people have said this about it. And I loved Your Next. And so then right off the bat, that had me intrigued. Andy McDowell, Adam Brody are in it. And I'm on board. It's got the guy that was in Mission Impossible and Clear and Present Danger, is, I guess, the patriarch of the family. I'm on board. And then Samara Weaving. It's Hugo Weaving's niece is the star of it. She's fun, Margot Robbie. And you see her and you go, oh, she'd be a great Harley Quinn. Oh, Margot Robbie stole that from her. And so we get the less fun one is Harley Quinn. So I'm all on board. I can't wait to see it Monday. And then you finish it. Feels like it's trying to be every kind of film at once. Comedy, horror, love. Yeah, exactly. It sounds amazing. I don't know if you're saying that sounds amazing, but it sounds amazing to me. Smith Gang with the super chat. Thank you so much. What are you looking forward to the most in Phase 4, and what are you not looking forward to? Looking forward to the most... I know, it's tough. So I did a video on the one I'm most excited. Like, I have a video that kind of answers this question. I think in the video I said Blade. Blade's actually Phase 5. Of the Phase 4 ones, it's true. What I'm looking forward to the most is that it's just different. That it's just kind of they're going bonkers. And I think that's a good thing. That they had a lot of safe plays in Phase 3. Great safe plays. Safe plays that I loved. But the idea that it's like, let's go the Eternals and we're going to go bonkers in space and we're going to do a spy movie, and we're going to do a martial arts movie, that they're going weird on it. I like that. And taking chances to like, one of my problems with Disney as a whole right now is that they're, playing it so safe. Even though they're cranking out billion-dollar hits, and they're not leveraging that to take more risks. The MCU is riding on the enormous Endgame wave, And Phase 4 is all risks. They're all weird. Not one of them do I think is like a normal safe bet. What am I least looking forward to? That there's not a safe bet inside of it. There's not one inside of it that's kind of the anchor that you look at it like you could say, well, they're doing Thor, but they're doing Lady Thor. And Lady Thor, I go, I don't know about that. But and it's not just that it's Lady Thor. It's Jane Foster hasn't been a factor for 8 years or whatever, like since 6 years. And she wasn't like a fan favorite. Like she was like a dud, and not. I'm a fan of Natalie Portman for whatever. And it's Chris Hemsworth wasn't very good in those first 2 movies either, compared to what he is now. Compared to like the guy we know now, he's not nearly as funny, charming. He doesn't command the screen. He was still figuring out the role. And so maybe you bring Jane back now with our current Chris Hemsworth, and it'll be amazing. But I just don't know. So that's the lack of an anchor is a big one for me that has me nervous. That I wish that they did have that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and say, they can't do that because James Gunn signed on for Suicide Squad when he was fired, and then so that pushed it back. But I wish there was that one that just seemed like the safe bet inside of it that I could be like, okay, I know what that is. I can just feel like we're in good hands. When I see these other ones, it just makes me pretty nervous. You want to throw them my way?
Yeah, let me give you some, and then I'm gonna go make her bottle.
Okay.
Thoughts on We Love Sean Chandler?
Thoughts on We Love Sean Chandler?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Do you?
I don't.
Thought maybe you'd know.
It could be I think it's maybe an
We Love Sean Chandler all in one thing.
It's
like
probably the Instagram page, so I don't know. Like, I think there's a couple of fan Instagram pages. I just know that like my brain doesn't remember names very well. If I'm not trying to hold on to it, and so I know who these are. Like, there's I think it's the one that I share the pictures from it on Instagram every time because they share the thumbnail of my videos on Instagram, and then I share it in my stories. So it's like actually really helpful for me that they do that. But at the same time, like I couldn't tell you like for certain what the name of the channel is because I just know, it's the fan channel. It's got my name in it. But I don't actually stop to read what it says, which if you want to know how my brain works, that is how my brain works. All right, I got some super chats. I'll grab if you want to run real quick. Final verdict with a super chat. Star Wars Episode 9 predictions. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of big predictions. Like things we know is that it's a bit of a hunt movie, that they're on the road trying to track something down and teaming up with some people to get this item. But actual predictions for what the story is, with what they've given us thus far, I don't know. I really don't have any specific thoughts as to where I think that they're going. Even in terms of where Rian Johnson left things versus what we know about this film, I mean, it doesn't feel like we haven't seen a connection because I mean, Rian Johnson ends where we're gonna end the Jedi, and then it ends with like little kids being like inspired by Luke Skywalker to be Jedi and things like that, and that's not in the trailer. That's not what they talked about at Star Wars Celebration. So I don't know. Like in certain senses, we don't know very much about what this is actually about. Because we went in, saw the first trailer and we thought we don't really know what this is. And then you watch it and at the end of it, you hear a laugh. We don't even know the title and you hear the Palpatine laugh. And like, was that Palpatine that just laughed? It says Rise of the Skywalker. And then on the original feed of this, it then cuts to the stage at Star Wars Celebration and Ian McDermott, I hope I got the right name on there. His birthday was a day or two ago. He's on stage. He goes, "Do it again," and then they played the trailer again or something like that. But we just don't know much about it to even start piecing together what exactly they're trying to hunt down, how it ties back to Sidious returning. I just don't really know. Chris B. Cracker 31 with the super chat. Thank you so much. Who is your least favorite actor in the MCU? Least favorite actor. There's a lot of ways to take that. I did a video 2 months back on my favorite and least favorite casting inside of the MCU. I prefer Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo. I think he just fits it a little bit better. I mean, they've done better things with Ruffalo's Hulk. I much prefer Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle as Rhodey. But bad actors inside of it. It's tough to say because I don't linger on that too much. And some of them, I've seen them so many times that I just kind of get used to it. Who are the bad actors in the MCU? Who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting? The bad actors in the MCU that I hate. Despise them. Ruin the whole franchise for me.
Those bad guys.
Those bad guys? What?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the DCEU.
Yeah, see, even then you're like, oh, they're these guys from the DC. No. I don't know.
Are there really any bad?
No, I don't think so. There's things that aren't as good.
Jane Foster's probably the closest for me.
But it's not a bad actress. It's just like kind of a dud. Annette Bening was weird. A lot of the acting, I thought Captain Marvel, I thought was weird. Easy there, baby champ. So I don't really have a least favorite. There's some thoughts. David Patterson with the super chat. I think Back to the Future would make for a good TV show. Hey, we already got a Back to the Future TV show. We had an animated series in the early 90s. That's where I first heard about Bill Nye, that he did these science segments on it, and then he got his own show afterwards. I specifically wouldn't... If the option was we get a remake of Back to the Future or we get a TV show, I would want a remake. I think the concept lends itself of going back in time, meeting your parents in high school, refreshes itself about every 20 years because society changes. So the concept of a 1985 high schooler going back to 1955 is interesting for very different reasons than a 2020 high schooler going back to 1990. There's unique things about it that are funny and interesting, while the central concept of meeting your parents in high school is kind of timeless. So, of course, the magic of the original, you can't try and copy that, but the essential concept, I think, is repeatable. And I think a TV show, a TV show would rely on having a version of those characters that worked, because the concept of time traveling, that has been done many times. So then it goes back to the characters. So if you had an amazing version of these characters going back in time, it could be interesting. I don't know how repeatable it is as seasons if you're trying to do like the original movie as a season of a TV show, like a 10 episode long him trapped in the past or something like that. I don't know how you can repeat that for too many seasons, but perhaps there's a way that you can stretch out a few of that, but not really sure. What do you got?
Have you ever seen Tommy Wiseau's The Room? Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I actually have a review of it on my channel. I have a review. So I've seen it a few times, and I've watched the clips 10,000 times. It's very easily probably the worst movie of all time. It's astoundingly bad in a very entertaining way. It's one of the reasons movies like that are why I have the 2 scores on movies, because it's a movie that's an F, but it's also like a 10. It's incredibly entertaining, even though it's awful. Chase Reddick with a super chat. Thank you so much. Hi, Sean. I was wondering who are your favorite characters from the Tarantino universe. I like Rick Dalton. Thanks for your great videos. Favorite Tarantino characters. Rick Dalton was a lot of fun. Both of the bromance there with Cliff. Brad Pitt's characters, the Leo, Brad Pitt bromance, I thought worked really well. So both of them are really good. Jules in Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson's character is great. Harvey Keitel's The Wolf in Pulp Fiction, another great character. I actually have a lot of fun with Bonnie's husband, Tarantino's character in Pulp Fiction too. That's my favorite of his. His is the worried husband guy. I'm not a best character, but I have fun with that one. Christoph Waltz in both of his movies with Tarantino, very cool characters. So those are the ones that kind of come to mind real quick. Cyan Star 16. Who would you cast as the Wolverine in the MCU? What? You didn't see the posts I made about where this video came from. So the reason I'm doing this live stream is because I was going to do an X-Men fan cast today, and I couldn't get it written in time. I couldn't figure out who I was going to cast. Specifically, I don't have a Wolverine, so I'm not going to post it until I have a Wolverine that I'm happy about. And so that's literally why we're doing this live stream right now, is because I could not figure out who I would cast as Wolverine. I'll pull up the names that are on my short list, and they're not. This is not who it's going to be, but right now, people that I didn't immediately nix. I have Charlie Hunnam. So Sons of Anarchy, Arthur, Pacific Rim, Charlie Hunnam, and also Not My Christian Grey. Hashtag Not My Christian Grey. He's too tall for me, but he's got the build. And since I can't find anyone else, I probably am going to have to sacrifice this whole height thing to find someone that's angry and has the right...
I thought of one today while you were taking a nap, and I died laughing.
So he's on the list, maybe, but I don't love it. Here's one I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about. This really good option. Josh Hutcherson, PETA from Hunger Games. He's short. He's like a midget, so he's about the right height. So get him on whatever those horse steroids that they put the Hollywood actors on. You can get him ripped. And then hopefully he'll also get roid rage when you do that, because he didn't seem angry enough when he was hungry in the Hunger Games. So maybe if you do that, then he'll feel angry in it. But so I just wrote his name down. I don't think I could go with him because I haven't seen him. I've seen a lot of people saying Taron Egerton. Once again, I just haven't seen him angry. So I just don't see it, because he just seems like smiley, charismatic leading man, and he can do that really well. I haven't seen Taron Egerton as rage monster guy. And then the last one on here that I don't think I like either, but might have some weight to it, Scott Conn, James Caan's son. Maybe part of my problem is that I just know him from Varsity Blues, so I just know him as, high school football douchebag. But he's got the build. He's shorter and he's thick. Like looks like he can punch you in the face and you wouldn't like it very much. Built. So I gotta look into him a little bit more to see if I like him. But I don't really like any of these ones. So I didn't want to go forward with a video with any of these options where I was at the moment. So I don't have a pick for you, unfortunately. But you guys are getting a preview of what I'm not going to say in my video.
Most popular movie you didn't see.
Most popular movie, Gone with the Wind. I've never seen Gone with the Wind. So, one of the movies that sold the most tickets of all time, and I've never seen it. So, that's an easy pick. I don't know. It's one of those ones that it's tough to get.
Last year, I thought, but I can't remember what it is. Everyone's like, "Have you seen this?" And you're like, "Nope."
Yeah, it's tough to kind of remember off the of all, because I see hundreds of movies. So what's the one I didn't see? Well, I don't have a lot of strong memories related to that movie I didn't see, so I forget about it. So I haven't seen Gone with the Wind. There's several of the Spielberg movies from the last several years I haven't seen, but I wouldn't call those most popular. So I don't. Tough to say. But Gone with the Wind, I guess, does technically fit what you're asking for. Jack Furstenberg with the super chat. Thank you so much. What one movie moment would you go back and experience for the first time again? I would probably go with. There's ones that I never really got the proper experience. So if there was a way that I could experience without knowing it, like Empire Strikes Back, that's probably what I would go with. Of movies that I know a great experience that I did have that I would love to be able to relive that a few more times. The last, that 10-minute section in Endgame, that was pretty special. What they did in that final battle, there's like 4 in a row of just like, that's a good moment. That's special what you just did right there, and you pleased the crowd there and gave me some. You served the crowd of the fans. So, what do you got?
Rank Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So this is the question I get all the time. It's down below in the description of this one. It's in the description of all my live streams. I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I haven't seen all of Gotham. I haven't seen Agent Carter, and I have not seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've seen the first 12 episodes. Or Doctor Who. I've seen Series 1 of Doctor Who, or Series 1 of the current run. They started back in 2005, 2006, and then I saw Torchwood Season 3. I've seen the first 12 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've seen 3 or 4 episodes of The Runaways. I've seen 2 or 3 episodes of The Inhumans. So I think that covers all the shows people ask me about all the time. So there you go. Rich Reviews, Super Chat. Thank you so much. Greetings from the beach. Have fun at the beach. We need to go to the beach. We just got season passes just now for the first time ever for the water park that's 10 minutes from our house. Was it Typhoon, Texas or whatever? We've lived 10 minutes from the water park for 5 years and just got season passes.
Tiny kids.
That would love it. And so now it's like going to become like this thing that we go to every single day. Even off season, we're going to jump the fence. It's going to be amazing. Throw the baby over, and it'll be great. Tried uploading something, but beach housing uploading sucks. Yeah, that sounds about right for beach houses. Terrible internet. What do you got for me?
Why is your wife off camera?
That's your question.
It's directed at you.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You've answered this before. I'm just behind the scenes. I don't like being in front of people. I like anonymity.
And the funny thing is, it's not a new thing. It's not even a YouTube famous thing. So I mentioned this many times. I was a youth pastor. One of the things I would try and do is be as interactive, like stuff like this, when I was a youth pastor. And so we would do times where I would sit on the front of stage and just take questions. And so they would text questions to her. She's in the back of the room. She reads the question. I answer it from the stage. And then I would say stuff. I'd say a lot of things that aren't necessarily based on reality. And so then she'd be like, start screaming from the back, correcting me. She would give her answers, but she'd be in the back of the room.
Some of that was because I was running slides, and that's where the computer was. And also, I would type the answers behind you.
There are other times that I would be like talking, and she'd be like fact checking me on the PowerPoint slides and stuff. But there's always kind of been this little thing of like I'm very much more comfortable on stage talking to a group of people than I am off stage talking to individuals. I'm very much I can do the star persona much easier than I can do off stage interaction with people. And so she's always kind of been the person behind the scenes helping me with things like that. And that applies now. So, and other people like have been like, people have been kind of surprised when there have been little times where she has shown up in things I've shared in different places and like, what, your wife she made on the internet? Like, it's not like she's not a ghost. Like, she's on places on the internet, has her own social media posts. Like, she does social media for a large company for a living. And so it's all kind of funny. It's just, it's very different doing what I do versus generic being on social media. Being on social media with your friends and interacting versus having, like right now,
audience.
Right now there's 390 people watching. That's a weird thing. That like your brain has to be wired a certain way. Like right now, it doesn't faze me. I'm just talking to a camera with energy. Other people, it's a much bigger deal. And she just doesn't want to jump into that pool. It's pretty brutal at times. Kevin Martinez with a super chat. Thank you so much. Favorite DreamWorks movie? It's How to Train Your Dragon. That's probably.
I like How to Train Your Dragon 3. I think.
Okay, I don't. He's really jumped in on that one. How to Train Your Dragon 3. I think that I don't know if that was number one in my ranking or not.
I don't know either.
1 and 3 are both very close, and then I thought 2's had some issues with it, but
2 made our son cry.
Yeah, so we're traumatized.
I can't handle it.
So 1 and 3, I probably How to Train Your Dragon would be the direction that I would go with that one. Scoop Scope with a super chat. Thank you so much.
What is wrong with you?
I had to scroll to it. Super chat. Thanks so much. Reverse Flash or Deathstroke? Arrowverse. I think. I think I'll actually go Reverse Flash. I think I will. I think there's some things inside of Deathstroke where it's the Mirakuru that turns him evil that I think cheapens a little bit of the weight of it. Whereas Reverse Flash, it's all motivation. There's some really sick, dark stuff in what Reverse Flash does that he's portrayed in a positive light for a good extended periods of time. So yeah, all those sorts of things. I think I think I would go with that direction. What do you got for me?
Do you watch Miraculous Ladybug?
I don't even know what that is. So I'll go with no. What do you got next? Another one. I'm sorry. I literally don't know what that is.
Have you seen The Boys on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, I have a review up on my channel. So you can hear my 13-minute thoughts on it or 10-minute thoughts or whatever. I have a review on my channel.
What is worse? Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom or Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
I'd probably letter score would go lower. Fallen Kingdom. I don't know. It's tough. What's your answer?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, hands down.
Yeah, she really doesn't like us guys.
I'm gonna get some hate. Another.
And that probably doesn't help my enjoyment either. Every time I put it on to rewatch it, to try and like it more. Like I want.
Fault. I can't stand it.
That's the thing that makes me so mad about people's getting mad at me about not liking. Is like I'm trying. The fans
So
are what
hard.
makes the fans make it really tough when they just like berate you for not liking something. Like when I post my thoughts and I'm like putting apologies on the front end, I'm bookending it my take with like, I'm sorry, I wish I liked it, and then people are like, you're an idiot if you didn't like it. Well, it just seems like you're a jerk. I'm not an idiot for not liking a movie. You're a jerk for not respecting the fact that we have a different opinion. Like that's a rude thing to do, and it doesn't help she doesn't like it either. But I don't know. That's a pretty brutal question. Marley Villasaro with the super chat. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm very sorry about that. Best actor and actress of 2019 so far. For me, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Florence from Midsummer. I am not an acting coach. I'm not an acting coach either. If you're wanting to pay me to be an acting coach, I will take your money and then you will not make it. But I'm not an acting critic. That's not my thing.
Are you an acting coach? I am not an acting coach.
Molly with a super chat. Are you an acting coach? I am not. Next question. Best and worst actress of 2019 so far. I thought that Leo was great. There's some scenes in that movie where he's, as an actor that has a lot of potential that's very insecure, and he has to act as so Leo is a world-class actor having to act like a non-world-class actor who's having a bad day and is insecure, and then he goes from acting and messing up to, in the same frame, playing the actor who's insecure and frustrated, who's trying to... That's some incredible stuff. So I'd be game for saying Leo. I'd throw Robert Downey Jr. into the mix of playing the same Tony Stark that we saw before. The most broken we ever saw him at the beginning of the movie, to the same guy but happy, to all sentimental. It's an entertaining film, but there's some really cool stuff inside of that. I mean, Florence did amazing stuff inside of Midsummer. I just had a lot of problems with it, so I wouldn't contest you on that one. She was great in it and does some crazy acting. Movie itself probably traumatized me. So I wish I had better options. I'm really not very good at that. That's why I don't do more like Oscar prediction videos. That's not my thing. I'm much better at talking about the stuff that you know me for, which is entertainment. I'm good at the entertainment level of discussion. Cool player with a super chat with the 2 thumbs up. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What do you got for me?
I have so many things.
All right, let's just fire like 4 off real quick.
Okay. Do you watch Friends, and what is your favorite character?
Chandler, of course. Chandler Bing.
Chandler
He's got a
Bing.
great name. But also and I enjoy his sarcasm. So he is the one that I've always thought was the funniest on the show because of his dry one-liners and sarcasm and stuff.
Well, and when I had a crush on you, you're like, when I was talking about you with my friends, I called you Bing. That was your code name.
People have called me Chandler Bing since the year 1994, from time to time. So I've watched all 10 seasons. I've never been a fanatic. That's never been one of those shows that I was like, oh, Friends. But I've watched all of it. It's a show that my contrarian side wants me to like it less than I actually do. If there's an episode on, I'll laugh. I'll have fun with it. So, yeah. There you go. There's my quick take on it. Another one. I keep saying quick. I am the worst at quick answers. Like, my super chats are backed up 40 minutes, and they have been basically this whole time.
Oh, my word.
And we're going back and forth, so it's just trying to do my thing. It's quick, real quick.
Sean Chandler is Hal Jordan, and Mrs. Sean
These are great ideas.
About as Black Canary.
Works for me. I mean, if you're gonna be Black Canary, why wouldn't I be Green Arrow? Why? I could pull off Stephen Amell if he's about to die in this series. So like they told us he's gonna die, so they need to replace him. He's not gonna be in the movies anyway. Right here. Like I can cut the sugar and the sodas. I can get not just a guy that lifts weights, but I can get Stephen Amell jacked.
If you get to train you and then get Michael Rosenbaum to interview you.
Here's the deal. They cast me as Green Arrow. and you're Black Canary, of course Michael Rosenbaum would want to meet up with us. We could get on inside of you. Could be a double one, and he could get inside of us.
Please stop talking immediately. Oh my word.
The next super chat. You're gonna have fun with this one in just a second.
Do you have some advice on talking to the popular girl?
I'm shy, so no. The key thing is always be confident. I mean, there's something very powerful about just being able to walk up to someone and talk like you're on their level. Well, and that's the problem. Like if you're
authentic,
authentic, you don't watch that crazy, stupid in love and learn from Ryan Gosling. Like that's not negging girls, chicks, and don't do crap like that. But just talking to someone like you feel like you're on their level, that's what makes it feel normal and you have a good impression. I'm a shy person. So I talked about earlier in this how I'm scared to... Chris Stuckman's going to be at a film festival I'm going to be at in 6 weeks. And so I have to try and get a picture with him, talk with him or something. And I'm scared to because I know that I'll talk to him not like a person. I'll talk to him like I'm talking to a YouTuber, which is funny since I'm a YouTuber. But I'm going to talk to him like he's a guy that's 10 times the size of my channel. I've been watching him for 8 years, not like he's just a guy that's just like me that's at an event. And people talk to you very differently when they put you on. There's your different levels. Like when it's kind of funny. Like I'm very plugged into my church and things like that. No one treats me weird there at all because they've known me so long that there's nothing interesting about me. Someone recognizes me at the church down the road that knew me 5 years ago, but they don't know me, see me week to week. They treat me weird because now I have a little bit of internet fame, and so that's Don't do that. Don't talk to her like she's the popular girl. Talk to her like she's just a person that you know with confidence. And if you don't have anything in common with her, it doesn't really matter to talk with her. Like, you don't want to date someone or something you don't have anything in common with. That's weird. Like, if you're dating because she's pretty, then you're shallow. Don't do that. Find someone that you can talk to. That, if you have her on your live stream in a few years, you can joke and laugh at each other. One real quick one.
Aw, that was so nice.
Oh, I got one or two nice things that I say like that every single year.
That's so true. Do you watch WWE?
No, I've never been someone that's watched wrestling. I mean, I've here and there kind of followed a few things. Nothing against it. It's something I've tried to show it to my kids to see if it's something we could get into together, but it just hasn't clicked. All right, a few super chats real quick. Da Vinci 3, where are you going to hang your play button? So other things kind of going on behind the scenes. I'm in the middle of renovating my office. Like tomorrow I'm not posting a video because I'm painting. I'm going to paint that whole wall. We're going to clear stuff out of here. It's one of the reasons we don't have our kids right now because my mother took them so my wife and I can clean up the house and paint and do things like that. And so I'm probably going to hang it right over there at my second desk. This is like a work desk on a stage with lights on me. So I've already... my wife built the desk right over there. The shelves hanging over, all Funkos on top of it. It'll probably be where I'll do live streams like this in the future. I'm not really sure. I'm also building for the podcast. I bought this arm for that desk over there. So it'll probably go over there. Max Bingham with a super chat for my wife.
Ooh.
It's not actually for you. Thank you so much, Fred. Do you watch Grace Randolph's channel? This is the girl from last night.
The one that did the...
X-Men Fancast, one of the ones that we watched, that ties once again back into why we're doing this live stream, because I was trying to do an X-Men Fancast, tried to get my list together in time so I could make the video. I haven't written it yet. I just could not come up with a few of the people yet, so I'm having to dig deeper to find people. So we were watching Grace Randolph's channel last time. I don't regularly watch her channel. Couple of... I don't want to go too much into it because I'm not the big...
taking too long to answer questions.
Because I'm taking too long to answer questions. I'm not the biggest fan of her content. I don't want to dig into too much more than that. Certain ways she presents things, the way, her channel is kind of, it's her live, basically, kind of her in the corner. And I don't know if she streams all of them live or what. I don't know the exact format. I'm not crazy about some of that about it. And then some of her ideas, I think, are a little bit wacky. Just kind of say that. I just kind of disagree with the direction she takes and stuff. Different personal taste in style of presentation as well as her take on things. But there's a lot of people out there that I'm not for everybody as well. I'm sure if she watched my channel, she'd be like, what's this guy screaming all the time? I don't.
Could he please keep his hands?
You're like, why is his hands moving so much? He keeps punching his microphone. What do you got real quick?
Have you seen Chuck? The show thoughts?
Yeah, we've seen 3 seasons of Chuck. It's one of these shows that we go back to about every 6 months and we'll watch 10 episodes, and somehow we've never finished it. Like, we've been kind of watching it for like 10 years, and we've rewatched the first couple seasons multiple times and never gotten to the end of the show. So
How many seasons are there?
4 or 5, not a lot. Like, it's not even a show that ran all that long, but somehow we just keep missing it. So we've had a lot of fun with it, but it's never been one that we've been crazy about, put it that way. Cool Player with Super Chat, thank you so much. Love your videos. What's your favorite Avengers? What is your favorite Avengers? Are you ever done the movie or the character? Movie, Infinity War. The first Avengers and Infinity War are pretty close in my mind. As just a standalone unit that's rewatchable, Avengers, the original, I think, is a little better. As kind of like, wow, they just did that and they pulled that off. Infinity Wars kind of wowed me. So those movies, I think, are real close. Endgame also has phenomenal moments. Generally speaking, I love what they did. You know, I said it's my number one of the summer. It gets knocked back because there are just things about it that I think were missteps. How far they went with the Thorbowski stuff. There's not enough action in the first 2 hours, I don't think. So just a couple things that hold it back, but still phenomenal. Actual characters, Iron Man and Captain America, the two leads, I think they handled both those characters very well, gave them very good story arcs, very good conflict between the two of them that makes sense, that feels earned in light of the journey that they've been on in the films. I think they handled both of them very well. Give me a quick one.
Are you going to rank the Rambo films?
So I've already ranked the Rambo films on my channel. It's already out there. So my take on the first 4. I think I'm going to review the 4 Rambo films leading up to it. My friend Cody Leach, I think he's going to do it too. I think I'm going to do that. It's not sure exactly, but I'll definitely rank them again. Probably will have reviews for each of them because Stallone's one of my favorites, and I need to get back into doing some of that stuff. And it's a slower season in September, so I can do some stuff like that. That's a little bit more of a passion project. Yeah. Rich Reviews with Super Chat, thank you so much. Thoughts on the Gemini Man trailer? I dug it enough. Feels a little bit 2005. Like, even as Will Smith is the lead, feels 2005. The look of it feels like 2005. Kind of this action, high concept. There's an assassin being hunted by himself. Feels 2005 to me. But, I like action movies. I like some sci-fi. So I like assassin movies. So it works. Christian Pellinson with a Super Chat. Thank you so much. What's your top 3 movie franchises? I'll probably do a top 10 video out of this very soon. I've got some of those that life keeps happening a little bit, pushing some of the stuff back, but MCU I think is number 1 now. Consistency, quality, quantity. MCU wins. 23 movies, all fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Even the ones I don't like too much they're still watchable, well-produced films. There's not train wrecks inside of there. Even like Thor: The Dark World's a train wreck. No, it's not. Like, the idea of a train wreck inside of the MCU, like it's just not a train wreck the way that other franchises have train wrecks. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, I think. Sounds right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what we'll go with. What do you got?
Favorite Will Smith movie?
Probably Independence Day.
Got a really deep one for you next.
So Independence Day, I think, is what I would. That's a pretty special little blockbuster from the 90s. Classic Roland Emmerich, Destroy the World. Classic Jeff Goldblum in his prime. Will Smith on his rise, but also in his prime. A lot of stuff. Just a really good blockbuster about half the human race being wiped out. Just a ton of fun as you watch them die. What? It is a lot of fun. Yeah, that's probably the one. The Heroes Advisor with a Super Chat. Thanks so much. What's your absolute favorite Spider-Man film? So I've got a ranking. I put it out about a month ago. Several different versions of it, different lengths. If you want my different insight into it. I think I usually always go back to the original Raimi Spider-Man. I love origin stories. So it just resonates with me a little bit more because you're seeing stories of becoming. That's a way to phrase it. So you see Green Goblin, him become the villain, and you see his desire for power, his recklessness, have him become the villain. You see Spider-Man gain the powers and become superpowered, and then you see the origin story of him becoming the person that wants to be the hero, and throughout the course of the film, you see him become the superhero. That stuff resonates really well with me. And Spider-Man has a classic origin story. It's a classic version of it, and so that one's always worked for me. What's your deep question?
What are your thoughts on bread? Just bread.
My thoughts on bread. I enjoy some bread from time to time. I'm not a big. I like pasta more than as starchy carbs. I go with pasta rather than bread. I'm not like there's certain places that have just really soft rolls that are very buttery that I love. Charlie's. They have great rolls. Just in general at my house, I don't sit around eating loaves of bread. Important stuff. Majestic D-Man with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Despite your review of it, any thoughts on Lion King being so close to being the top 10 highest grossing films? One of the top 10 highest grossing films. I mean, my thoughts are only that it's a statement on nostalgia, because it's not a movie that's being well received. It's not a movie that got good reviews. It's obviously not an original. It's just a film that people love. And so they're curious about it, even though they're like, oh, it's not great reviews. Oh, I'm here. Like, my friends don't seem to like it, but I got to go see it. I got to check it out. It's also a technological wonder. Like, people, because they're so angry that it's such a shot-for-shot remake with there's such a lack of originality in the script that they're forgetting that it's a technological wonder. It's a film that's worth seeing literally just to see what they were able to accomplish. And those movies do really well outside of the United States just on that right there. Avatar, that's how Avatar made buckets of money, because it's a technological wonder. So, there you go. Cole Pratt with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Watch any sports? If so, which ones and what teams? So I don't watch a ton of sports, really. I do fantasy football every year. Watch a few games. Always watch the Super Bowl. Both of my parents are from Denver, so I get disowned if I don't say that I love the Broncos. And actually on my Patreon page, I'm doing fantasy football with my patrons over there on there. So anyone that's on my Patreon page can join these fantasy football leagues. And we haven't done the draft yet, so there's still time to join it. If by chance you want to be a Patreon supporter just to join my fantasy football league, there's still time to do that. It's a little plug for Patreon. But so I follow that a little bit, but I'm not a big sports person, at least not following it. I just don't have time. So much time dedicated to this, I can't do that. What do you got for me?
Are you looking forward to Angel Has Fallen?
Yeah, so we actually just watched the first two. You were like begrudgingly like, why are you watching Olympus Has Fallen again? Because I watched it a couple months back when it first appeared on Netflix, even though I knew I was probably going to rewatch it. And then it took me a few days to watch it this time. So she's like, you watched it 4 days in a row. I was like, I watched the first 10 minutes and then I fell asleep. Or like the kids came home. That's what it was.
Who did you leave alone when you fell asleep watching this movie?
And so then we rewatched that one and rewatched London Has Fallen, and people seem to crap on London Has Fallen. I don't really get it. It's preposterous. But the first one was too. And there's some really well choreographed action. There's some good Gerard Butler one-liners. So I'm not crazy that I saw the concept and I went. Everyone went. This wasn't this great insight I came up with. Everyone who watches it, they go, Taken 3, The Fugitive. Okay. I'm not. The exact direction has me a little nervous. I just love the genre. I love Gerard Butler in these movies, action movies in general. When he goes full action star guy, I see it Tuesday at a press screening. There's a chance. I'm just mentioning this because you asked about it, but there's a chance I might actually get to interview the director of it. They asked me. He lives here in Austin apparently, and so if any of the press would be interested in interviewing him, I was like, sure. So I haven't had a follow-up on that, but that's a thing that could potentially happen. Benjamin 23 with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Raiders and Crusade, best indie movies, in my opinion. it's pretty much everyone's opinion. You got the right opinion on that one. There's a handful of people that are the big Temple of Doom fans, but not too many that put them over those two. I'm a big Temple of Doom fan. She's not. Not a lot of people that are calling Crystal Skull number one. Is it a fluke they have two things in common, Nazis and Judeo-Christian artifacts? I don't think so. I think that the time period lent itself really well to the... it's tough to say that there's some other things that... George Lucas had this concept with those ones that he wanted them to reflect the time period that they took place, which was the serials of like right around 1940. That's what he's going for. And then when he did Crystal Skull, he wanted both to feel like the original ones, but he also really wanted it to feel like a 1950s monster alien invasion movie. Like, he specifically wanted that. That's what he wanted, and that's why we didn't want it. We wanted Nazis and cereal. We didn't want, or cereals, not edible cereal.
Cheerios?
Not Cheerios, but 40s cereals. We wanted that. He made the best of those. And we want another one. We don't want 1950s alien invasion movie with Indiana Jones. That's what he wanted to do. So I don't... It's tough to say a little bit, but I think that there's something about they're movies that are come out of Western culture, civilization. So Christianity, Christian artifacts, Christian history ties kind of in the heart of Western civilization in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of history inside of that makes it a little bit more potent, that more naturally we can gravitate to, like, 10 years before Last Crusade, Monty Python does Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So, like, there's things inside of it that I think just make it hit a little bit heavier with Western culture and a little bit broader audience for that reason. Where, like, who the Shankar stones, that like Western society doesn't really know what those are. We don't really know a lot about what they mean. Like, we don't know. The crystal skulls are a hoax from 150 years ago. Like, they're not real, like, at all. Like, they're just kind of like this goofy thing. They're not tied to anything. It's not part of this legend or anything like that. So it doesn't. I think Atlantis could work, though. What do you got for me?
Can you ask your wife what her favorite Harry Potter movie and character?
What's your favorite Harry Potter movie and character? Did you want me to ask like that or friendlier?
I don't know if they. They didn't say. Favorite Harry Potter movie is going to have to be Prisoner of Azkaban. And then character is going to be Luna Lovegood. They also wanted your take.
I think I have that one as my number one as well.
Smart choice.
Dolores Umbridge is my favorite character. She reminds me of my wife.
Oh! That was not funny.
Favorite... that was a humor joke.
My soul hurts.
Cedric Diggory. Because it's just great to see him die.
You are the worst human being on planet Earth.
Who's my favorite?
I have no idea. I'm so shocked at your insult there. I don't know if I can recover.
You're shocked that I came up with hilarious jokes?
I don't know.
I'm the worst. It doesn't come out on the channel as much, but all of my best jokes are wildly offensive, and they're only funny to me.
Oh, that's a foul. They're all on my side.
It's true.
Yeah.
That was a good one, though. That's a good line. It was not a good thing to say. It's not wise. Not wise on a night where we don't have the kids around to make that joke. Who's my favorite?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's not my world, so I'm not as good at having favorites for it. Lou Morales with the super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, Sean, I love talking movies too much. Awesome. You're in the right place. Huge fan of yours. Oh, thank you so much. What's your favorite movie to talk about? I don't know why I did that with this.
I don't know why you did that either.
That was obnoxious. That was obnoxious.
They like it.
What's my favorite movie to talk about?
Alien 3.
It's kind of true. I don't know. As of recently, talking about Endgame, specifically the third act, that's been a lot of fun. That's been cool. I've been on a lot of podcasts where I've talked about that one pretty in depth and how cool of a payoff that was, and that they earned it. And that's what some people, they're lingering on the fact that I didn't like Thorbowski, but I really love all the stuff everyone loves about the last 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I love it too. That's been really fun to talk about this year, this summer. That's probably my favorite thing to talk about. What's the thing that I talked about obnoxiously when we started dating?
I mean, any composer, John Williams.
John Williams. Talking about John Williams, that was a big one that kind of... One of the origins of this channel of sorts.
I went to visit you at work one day when we had interns. And
Yeah,
I walked into the office and you had John Williams written on the board. Like, that wasn't even at all what they were interning for. And it was like a list of directors and composers.
So, what kind of the origins of I Talk Movie Too Much, and that used language and how it kind of became the slogan for my channel, is that when I had interns, this would have been summer 2011, Riley and Elena, sometimes they watch my videos, maybe they're in the chat right now. They're very good friends with Andy, another guy that I've done a lot of videos with. Now, I know Andy kind of through Riley in that. And I just kind of went off on this little rant about John Williams. Like, well, you gotta know John Williams. You know Harry Potter? He did. Oh, of course, we love Harry Potter. Well, he's the one that came up with the theme. Do you love this? Oh, yeah. And just went off talking way too much for them being my interns at church. Kevin Martinez, how do you feel about some of the Phase 4 movies being replaced by the Disney Plus series? I don't know that that's what I would define what happened as. I wouldn't take it that way. Because if you look at the board, the number of things that they're putting out in the next 2 years, because it's Phase 4 is a 2-year phase, there's 10 items. So they're not removing anything. We're just getting a lot more. And they were never going to make Falcon and Winter Soldier into a movie. We're just getting something we weren't getting before. So if you're saying, how do I feel about getting 5 TV shows instead of 3 movies in 2020? I'll take the trade. I'll take these experimental TV shows about some of these side characters. I think I'll get more enjoyment out of 3 of those than I will out of whatever one movie they would have made. That's the way I take it. I don't take it as that they shuffled it around and I got a TV show instead of a movie. It's a little bit of that, but I mean, we're getting 2 movies next year. We're getting 3 movies the next year. So that we're not actually getting, they're not costing us a bunch. What do you got for me real quick?
The Indiana Jones original trilogy or the Star Wars original trilogy? Which one do you like better?
I think Indiana Jones is a little bit more rewatchable. I think Star Wars is a little bit more iconic and important. That's probably the way to phrase it. Josh Ward with Super Chat. Thank you so much. What classic movies would you forbid Hollywood to remake? I don't really do that. I don't.
You don't have that authority?
I used to have that authority back when I was born in California, and so when I was 6, they would come to me like, "What can we not do?" And I was like, "Stay away from Gone with the Wind and Citizen Kane. They're too intense." I'm not one to forbid a remake.
I think we listen too much to John Campea.
It's true. I kind of would agree very much with John Campea's one of like, you can remake whatever you want. I still have the original. There's a few where I think it kind of replaces it in the minds of the popular culture, and I think that can be a little dangerous. But even as you think about it, these kind of Lion King's not going to replace the original. When people think it's a dud and it's a massive hit, people are probably going to forget about it in 6 months, and they're just going to watch the original one. I don't think they do as much damage as some people want to give them credit for, and so I don't mind if they remake them. I'm not normally for a lot of these remakes. A lot of them are frustrating. The ones that were frustrating for me, because they deal with the movies that I get passionate about, but like the Total Recall and RoboCop remakes from like 7 years ago, those ones were frustrating for me because they were just generic blockbusters that were PG-13 made out of Paul Verhoeven movies. And he has such a distinct style, and that was frustrating to me. But I still have my Paul Verhoeven weird ultra-violent movies that I can rewatch. Cool Player with a super chat. No question. Thank you so much for that. I do greatly appreciate it. What do you got for me real quick?
Do you watch Gravity Falls?
We've never seen it.
Is it a show?
I'm not sure. What do you got next? Sorry, we haven't seen it.
Are you going to see The Last Christmas with Emilia Clarke?
So you apparently watched that trailer before I did. You watched it last night. You sent it to my friend Rachel, who's also your friend, and then Rachel posted about it on Rachel Wagner Hallmarkies podcast. I've been on her stuff a bunch. She's been on my channel. She did the Lion King video. She's been on the channel a bunch. So we shared it with her, and then she posted it on Facebook like my perfect movie. She's been a big Henry Golding fan, so a rom-com around Christmas seems like perfectly up her alley. What was the question?
Are you going to watch it?
Yeah. We'll do a date night. Totally on board.
For sure.
Wiley Todd with a super chat. Thank you so much. What do you think about my theology class making us watch The Matrix? It's tough to know. I'd have to know more context about it because the nature of the theology class, the exact nature of the assignment. But if you want to talk about how theology applies to popular culture, The Matrix would be an example of how Western thought, Western popular culture has used that. I mean, the Wachowskis incorporated anime, Eastern philosophy, and Christian beliefs, theology, or if you're not a Christian, Christian mythology. They merged all of them together into it. And so I think there's a lot of value in that. Hopefully in that discussion that's what's discussed. They're like, here's the Christ types inside of this, and then here's the Eastern philosophy inside of it, and how they kind of squished it all together. So I'm not opposed to that. Like I'm very much for looking for theology in popular culture, and I would just have to know more about it. If that's all your class was really more studying movies and how it's like, that's not really theology. But doing that in a theology class doesn't bother me if you're actually doing proper study of it. Real quick one for you.
Are you a Mormon?
I am not Mormon. I'm not Church of Latter-day Christ of Latter-day Saints. How did I get this wrong?
I don't know.
I've been talking too long. Sorry about that.
The Church of Jesus
LDS.
Christ,
I'm not
Latter-day
LDS.
Saints.
I have a wing in my family that's very much LDS. Great, wonderful people that love them dearly and have had some great theological discussions with them about all of our shared beliefs and sometimes at times about the differences. But I'm non-denominational evangelical. I've never been a Mormon. Adam Grunther with a super chat. Thank you so much. How would you rank the Batman movie villains? How would you rank them? Well, I'd watch all the movies. I'd list them all out, and then I would rank them. If you're asking to rank them right here on the spot, I couldn't. When I do a ranking, I watch all the movies. I watch the movies that are related to it. I take a lot of notes, and I spend a lot of time on it. So, some personal favorites in the mix. Of course, Heath Ledger's Joker's an obvious one. I dug Tom Hardy's Bane. Even with the plot twist and everything, I don't think that soured the character, because it didn't mean that he was a puppet. It just meant that he had a boss. Like, it doesn't mean he wasn't the mastermind. Didn't mean he didn't. So that didn't bother me too much. Maybe the love aspect of it was weird, but let me think through the movies real quick. Jack Nicholson's Joker was also great. As a group, the old classic 60s were just fun. Mark Hamill, classic Joker. There's been a lot of great Jokers. And then Phantasm was a fun original character for the Mask of the Phantasm film. Joel Schumacher movies. Sorry, your villains aren't going to make the cut. And I think Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson, very cool character. So I listed off basically all of them. There have been a lot of really good ones. Batman's got a great rogues gallery, and they've cast a lot of great actors in them, and they've had some great talent. Don't do a lot of them. So a lot of those are very good. Liquid Ice with the super chat. Thank you so much. Rank all best animated feature winners. If that's a request for a future video, I could potentially do that. I'd have to look at it. I don't know what the list is, so I couldn't even begin to do any of it. Like, I think Brave one year. That's last. That shouldn't have won. Wreck-It Ralph should have won that year, but I couldn't do that off the top of my head because I just don't have no clue. Boyum was here. Can you make a Dragon Ball Evolution review? I've never seen it. I don't have a desire. I haven't watched Dragon Ball, so I don't have a history. So just would be watching a random movie to review it. I guess it's supposed to be awful, I think. So it would be kind of watching a movie to trash it. Maybe I haven't done a ton of that on my channel. It's not necessarily the thing that I gravitate towards. I try to be the positive guy. I've done a few things where I've done harsher things, but I prefer to be the person that, like, hey, we all love movies. Hey, let me talk about your favorite franchise, and I can have fun with it. It might not be my favorite franchise, but I can enjoy it, and let's have fun talking about it. And here's a perspective of someone that's not the fanboy. That's more what I try to do. So maybe someday, but it's not the thing I naturally gravitate towards. Jacob Fine features ran with the super chat. Thank you so much. Well, there's no question. I do appreciate it. Quick Cope, Daredevil 3 with the super chat. Daredevil season 3. Quick scope with the super chat. Thank you. Daredevil season 3 or Arrow season 2. Daredevil season 3. Someone alluded to this before of Arrow season 2. I think by making Deathstroke being driven by Mirakuru as the driving thing, the insanity that makes him angry, I think cheapens it a little bit. And then just Daredevil season 3, I think, is just very, very well written, very well constructed season overall. Where it's the Arrowverse seasons are just too long, and so there's filler in all of them, and so you can't also remember the whole story because it's just so much stuff happens. So I think Daredevil season 3. What do you got for me?
What's your wife's favorite MCU movie?
What's my wife's favorite MCU movie?
Do you have a guess? I think I have a guess. I'm not even really sure.
Your favorite would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
You're funny.
I don't know.
I think Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. Interesting. I don't know that I would have guessed that.
I think...
We've watched it like once. Or twice.
I've watched it more than that. We had the conversation with Peter, and Peter just was like, do you like this or this better? Do you like this or this better? And by the end of it, I liked Thor Ragnarok better. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok. Another one real quick.
Can you explain how you got past the plot of the Yesterday movie? I assume they mean the plot holes.
I mean, there's nothing to get past. Like, it's a movie that exists as just a weird what if scenario. So you either buy that or you don't. And that's the trailer for the movie. So if you saw the trailer and you're like, oh, yeah, that looks really good. And you're expecting it to be like, what the mystery of how did this happen? And what are they going to... I think that's a little bit on you. Like, the trailer does not present the movie as trying to answer what happened. It's just this, let's have fun with a what if scenario. I'm trying to explain it. And so what if this guy had this ability? Or what if the world changed? And you either have fun with that concept or you don't. Sounds like you didn't. If you really have issues that they didn't answer questions, if you thought they were going to from the trailer, I just don't know why you would think that. But at the same time, if you just saw the movie and just watched it and were like, not that I was looking for more, I just didn't like it. I'm also not going to try and convince you. I just enjoyed the ride of this weird what if concept and the charming cast and the great music. So there's nothing, you either buy it or you don't. It's the suspension of disbelief that's just baked into the basic premise of it, of you either go for it or you don't. And that applies to superhero movies. Like, you either buy into the fact that this world exists or you don't. Like, someone can be like, this is nonsense. Tony Stark couldn't build that in a cave. This whole universe, this universe is bonkers. It's stupid. You can't build that in a cave. You have to suspend that disbelief, and that was fine to suspend that disbelief for yesterday. Jace with the super chat, thank you so much. Who is your favorite Hollywood Chris? There's a lot of really great ones right now. I think Pratt's the most just down-to-earth normal guy that doesn't let the fame get to him. He got famous a little bit later than some of the other people, so just feels like a funny guy that's having fun with the ride of being famous, and it's not getting to his head too much. And there's a side to it I root from a little bit just because there just seems like some weird non-controversies surrounding him that just keep popping up of people like trying to dig up dirt on him for like doing things that aren't very interesting. So that's one that I think him. Jack Fustenberg with Super Chat. Thanks so much. Favorite movie soundtrack? Rocky IV is the one that I probably put in the most. Guardians of the Galaxy, the original Volume 1. That soundtrack's one that's probably one of the best ones of the 21st century. Yeah, those are the ones that kind of come to mind immediately. Well, baby doesn't seem very happy about something. Robert Drummond, favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Critters 3, probably? Critters 3? I don't know. There's a lot of people that are bonkers for Leo. I'm not like a bonkers for Leo kind of guy. So just Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by default. Titanic by default. There you go, Titanic, because it's a James Cameron movie. But I don't have like a satisfying answer on that one. Majestic Demon, worst theater experience this year. Probably The Curse of La Llorona. It was a bad audience. It was a press screening, and so they just they hand out passes to the middle section, middle people are all press, and then everything else is general public. And it's a lot of people that are going just because it's a free movie. They don't care about what it is. They don't know what it is. And as an audience that just, anytime tension was built, they'd start laughing. And so it kind of killed the movie a little bit. And it's a movie that wasn't good enough to be able to survive while it's being killed by the audience. So that was, I think, the worst this year. I haven't had any train wrecks this year that I can think of. So that's probably the one that comes to mind.
How did you become brave enough to express your opinions through the internet?
I've just never been afraid to express my opinions on the internet. That's what I've always done. I've just always been a person that likes to put my ideas out there and want to exchange ideas. I've thought that I've never been nervous about people disagreeing with me. I just assume people are going to disagree with me. When it comes to like the trolls and the anger, it normally grows as you grow, so you get a lot more positive feedback, whether just raw numbers, financially, or people telling you, I really like you. Like right now, I get tons of people that send me messages daily saying that they love my channel. And so the fact that some people don't like my channel, it's like, oh, that's fine, because my channel's not for everyone. So the people that enjoy my channel enjoy it, and the other people have the rest of YouTube to find channels. So it's nothing too terribly interesting about it. Michael Steven, top 3 with the super chat. Thanks so much. Top 3 mob movies. Did you ever want to act or direct? Top 3 mob movies. I don't know. It's tough to come up with top lists off the top of my head. Because there's just too many movies out there. And like right now, I've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes straight. So my mind is literally just on to like come up with a list. I'd have to think about it. And if I start giving you answers, then I'll probably regret some. So, of course, the classic ones of The Godfather and what I would say things like that. One that I liked, it's not as a little bit as famous, would be Copland. It's not mob fully, but a little bit underground crime, corruption in police force. So Stallone, James Mangold, a bunch of everyone in it is someone that you know who it is. That's one that people don't talk about as much. Of course, The Departed. If you ever wanted to act or direct, I would love to be able to have be able to create a story and put it on the screen. The problem for me is that I'm not going to write a script that no one's going to read. What I love about YouTube is I put it out there. I can get someone to watch it. But the idea of a movie, it's that you spend years writing a script that maybe nobody ever sees it. Maybe no one even reads it. I don't want to do that. That's the tricky part. Like if someone's like, I'll give you $50,000 to make a small movie. Like I'll get together with my buddy Cody Leach, will write a horror movie. We'll make it happen. But someone will finance it to make it happen. I'll write you something amazing for you and make it happen. But it just putting the work in, that's the problem. Or if someone I'm not going to move to Hollywood to become an actor, but I'll kill you. Right, I'm heading out to Hollywood in October. I'll be out there a little bit, so maybe I'll stay and take up acting. Try and get some. But if there was some context where locally there was a movie being made and I could do some acting, I'd have a ton of fun doing that. Dwayne the Smolder with a super chat. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. What's your favorite Adam Sandler movie ever? The Wedding Singer. Without question. I love The Wedding Singer. I enjoy Drew Barrymore and movies like that. And they have great chemistry. I love the 80s aesthetic, the soundtrack. It's heartfelt. It's funny. It's got a little bit of everything. It's peak Adam Sandler for me.
What is worse, X-Men Dark Phoenix or X-Men Origins?
I think X-Men Origins. There's a little bit more incompetence to it. Dark Phoenix is kind of bland. Some characters are out of character. Just not a lot that's very memorable. It's just like, haven't we all done this before? X-Men Origins, you remember a bunch of things about it because they're so bad. Whether you're talking about CGI where you're like, oh dear, how did that get by? That's not good. Or just certain plot points that are just, why are we doing this? Why? This is our Gambit? Really? Deadpool? Why did you do this to Deadpool in this movie? There's just a lot of things.
A lot like just then, actually.
Like Hugh Jackman?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh. I'm pretty close to being exactly him, except the Canadian part. So there's a lot of things like that. Andrew Paxton with the super chat, no question. Hey, thanks so much. Ryan O'Toole, he has a YouTube channel. If you're looking for someone else to check out more YouTube channels, he's been a friend of mine here on YouTube for 3 years now. Actually, when I was starting out, we started around the same time. And he's actually one of the first people to reach out and try to become YouTube friends with me. So Ryan O'Toole is a good YouTube friend of mine. Go to check out his channel. Yeah, there you go. With a super chat, he said, getting my Sean Chandler merch this weekend. Awesome, man. I think there's a sale next week. So if you're specific, I don't know if you ordered this previous sale or if you're saying you're going to purchase it. I know that there's a sale, I think starts next Wednesday if you're looking to purchase. That's for everyone else. If you're looking to buy some of my merch, if you wait till next Wednesday, it'll probably be 35% off, I think. 30 or 35% off next Wednesday for a few days. I'll promote everything. Thank you, Ryan, for that. And thank you for being a good friend. And thank you for reaching out to me and becoming friends with me on the YouTube. What do you got for me?
What would you consider a guilty pleasure favorite movie?
I don't feel guilty. That's actually where my Taco Bell movie thing kind of came from, is that I don't, generally speaking, so I like, in that category, I like a lot of Van Damme, I like a lot of Seagal, but I don't feel guilty that I like Bloodsport. I don't feel guilty that I like Lionheart or Under Siege or Above the Law or anything like that. But so those are some that would come to mind. Some people would say that. If you go on Arnold, like Commando's a dumb movie, but if that's a Taco Bell movie to me as well. Like, yeah, you could argue the issues with it, but it's a very entertaining film. Like it's trying to entertain you as best as it can, and it really does. So actually, I need to remember that one. Remember Commando for my top 10 Taco Bell movies. It's a throwback one. It's not like a T2 level Arnold film. It's not Predator, but it's incredibly enjoyable. So it's. Just remember to note down. And then a lot of the rom-coms that some people might think would be guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty about it, but 10 things How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, some of those Matthew McConaughey ones, some of the Reese Witherspoon ones that are a little bit more schlocky. So maybe those would come to mind. Tommy Pohadjevesi. I'm sure I botched her. I'm very sorry about that with the super chat. Thank you. Ranking the Ip Man movies. I've never seen any of them actually. They're those movies that that's my genre. I've always loved martial arts films, especially from the Hong Kong era. Been a Donnie Yen fan for over 20 years. I just haven't actually seen that specific batch.
Have you seen the movie Predestination?
No, I haven't.
I have.
You've seen it?
You know Sandra Bullock?
Sure.
Yeah, it was dark. I liked it, but I don't know if I could handle it now that we have kids.
Oh.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was one of those.
Is it Calvinistic or Arminian?
Someone said, my sister and I watched the Royal Tenenbaums at your recommendation and adored it. Thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, I was huge into Wes Anderson back in the day, and then the melancholy comedies. There's really deep emotions inside of those films that I thought really resonated with me at that lonely pre-marriage phase of life. Now I'm not as lonely as I was before, so... some of them don't hit me with the same emotions they used to, but I loved the Royal Tenenbaums back in the day. Cooper, we super chat. Thank you so much. Who's your all-time favorite superhero casting? Big fan, by the way. Thank you. Oh, it's a tough one. There's several that I think are really important. I think Christopher Reeves as Superman was very important that they nailed that and could take that he pulled it off. Robert Downey Jr. I think is very important. That he anchored, the universe was so popular. I don't feel like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is important. It's great casting, worked out wonderfully. I don't think it's as important though. Like same with Patrick Stewart as Chucky Xavier. Great casting. I don't think and it feels like who could have been better? Get Picard to be Xavier. That's perfect. I don't know who could have done it better, but it doesn't seem like it's important, whereas Robert Downey Jr. feels important. So I think that's probably the one that I would go with. Brennan Official with Super Chat. Thanks so much. What do you think was the scariest Annabelle movie? The second one. The second one, I think, was just kind of pulled it all together a little bit more. First one's the weakest and the least scary because it's just literally let's do jump scares at a house while a woman's pregnant. And then this latest one I think was the lightest of the bunch. I think it's got some entertainment value. That I dug it. It's kind of right there with Creation for me. But the second one I think is just a solid scary movie with a great atmosphere and stuff that gets under your skin.
Do you think Bruce Lee? What do you think of Bruce Lee's portrayal in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino's alternative history. He died 45 years ago. He's been overly praised by society. Like, you can... I listened to it. They did put a bio out from him. I think it came out last December. I listened to it last December. It was new when I listened to it. You know, there's things that he was amazing at, but society puts him on a pedestal that I think doesn't seem particularly healthy. What he was able to do with break open doors, not well, literally, and just for martial arts genre, there's a lot of things that are incredibly important, but so much of it is even tied to the mystery, like the sudden death. Like, he died before Enter the Dragon even came out. Which is crazy to think about. The amount of time between when he started doing his string of martial arts movies and when he died is, I think, under 2 years. Which is like everything that's legendary about Bruce Lee as a movie maker is in a very short window of time. There's all this like exaggerated stuff about just how great he was. And so if you remove all of that and you say they poked a little bit of fun at him in a movie, I think that people are treating him with, if he's as awesome as he was, why are we treating him with kid gloves? You can make fun of everybody, you get all sorts of things, but Bruce Lee, 45 years later, you can't make a little bit of a joke. And I had some issues with like the concept that for some reason we can't have fun with Bruce Lee 45 years later. I think that's kind of weird. You have another one?
Best Seth Rogen movie?
Okay, that lines up. That works out well for me. That's a super chat as well as my next super chat. I don't know. Was it TAC 978?
I don't know. I don't have the name written down.
Oh, so anyway, I have your question. It's literally my next question on my list. The universe has come together all at once. Favorite Seth Rogen movie? Well, Green Hornet, of course.
What song we just watched?
Because Green Hornet is a TV show with Bruce Lee.
I got it.
And then in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the scene that makes fun of him is on the set of the Green Hornet. So, I enjoyed Long Shot that we just watched. I don't know, favorite. I don't have an obvious favorite for Seth Rogen.
Do you like Seth Rogen?
I think he's funny. I'm not like all in on him because it's like a worldview thing of like he exists in this, hey, let's get all the bong and I go to the party. Like, I just don't live in that world. That's not me. I think he can be funny. He can even be funny doing a lot of that stuff, but it's not like inherently a space that's just interesting to me because it just feels like, hey, I'm watching Stoner guy do his thing. So it feels outside of my space, but, I guess Knocked Up, just by default. Who knew that it would also be my favorite Katherine Heigl movie too? But I
Knocked Up better than Neighbors?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. Well, that's got a pregnant lady too. You could also call that Knocked Up as well. So he gets a lot of people pregnant in his comedies, apparently. So let's go with Neighbors then.
I'm not forcing you.
Let's go with Knocked Up. Wait, isn't he in The 40-Year-Old Virgin 2? The 40-Year-Old Virgin 2. And Neighbors 2.
That one?
40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yeah.
With Steve Carell?
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Are you sure?
Why wouldn't you have seen a Steve Carell movie?
Your other wife. I don't think I've seen that.
Super chat from Tony Corrant. And we're going to be closing down a little bit. We're going to try and finish the... What?
Well, I don't mean... I meant yes as in...
They've been enjoying your company.
No,
From Patreon.
It wasn't celebratory. That was a confirmation.
From your Patreon. Don't often tune in, though. It's funny to me how often we disagree and agree. Yeah, and that's what I want. It'd be boring if we agreed on everything. That's what if my goal in everything isn't to convince people I'm right, my goal isn't that we would agree. My goal is that we would disagree and you'd be like, huh, but I enjoyed his thoughts. Or we agree and I help you articulate your thoughts, or I just say it a little bit better, or I say it a little bit more entertaining. That's what I want. My goal, like the idea that we'd all be on the same page isn't very interesting because it's a world where everyone has the same thoughts. That's silly. That's stupid. Who wants that? But the idea that whatever my ideas I put out there make you go, huh, yeah, I like the way you said that. I don't agree, but I like the way you said it. Or I agree. That you made me understand what I was feeling a little bit better. That's at the heart of what it is. Or if you loved Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the last thing I want is for you to not like it because of me. That I have no desire to do that. But if I talk about it in a way that makes you go, oh, I can see why some people wouldn't like it. Oh, that clarifies it a little bit. That's okay, cool. I still love it, but I understand why you don't like it. That's a win. That's a win for everybody. Like I said, but if you watch my review and it made you like a movie less, I feel bad about that. I don't want to take joy out of the world. No, there's no fun in that. Andrew Paxton, rank Kevin Smith films for Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I'm thinking about it. The tricky part is it comes out while I'm in California. I'm going to be in California for, I think, 10 days. I'm going to San Diego for like 3-4 days. Then I'm going to drive over to LA and just kind of bum it out at my buddy Griffin's house and my buddy Tyler's place for a week. And I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drive around and maybe do some meet and greet. I don't know. If there's a bunch of you in LA, maybe we'll do a meet and greet. Go to the movies together or something. Go to the Burbank 16. Maybe meet some famous people while I'm out there. I don't know, like YouTuber people. I'm going to meet a bunch of actors, but maybe build some connections in my space. Not for MySpace. I don't think I'll meet Tom from MySpace, but other people in the movie talk space. I'm on a roll now.
You are on a roll.
I probably do coffee with Campia one day, Christian Harloff the next day, meet up with Dan Merle the next. None of this is going to happen, I'm sure. But would be cool if something like that, if I actually did meet some people out there and build some, because I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that's the YouTubers above me. I just know the people I met when I started. As my answer to your Kevin Smith question. So this is all happening right when that movie comes out. And so I just don't know what the timing will look like, both on the being able to watch all the movies leading up to it, and then when the movie comes out. I do my rankings after they come out. I'm in California. I just don't know what that's going to look like. I'm sure I could sit on my buddy Griffin's set, or Tyler, wherever he's living, and I can take my camera, so maybe I can make something work. But then again, I don't want to be in LA shooting ranking videos when I could be sipping coffee with
I don't know.
We ran out of people. Dennis Zen. Meeting up with Dennis hilarious. Zen. And that'd be a big adventure. What do you got for me?
Do you think Thor 4 will be the last time we see him?
No, I doubt it. I don't think so. Maybe it is. Maybe it's more of an event film than they presented it as. Hey, look, Natalie Portman's got a hammer. Hey, but maybe it's the end of Phase 4, so could be an event film that does some big stuff. But you'd think if the last time we're going to see him would be more of a film that's an obvious event film. That's not an obvious event film, so I doubt that. Michael Steffen with the super chat. Thank you so much. I think maybe my last one. I'm finally caught up. That's amazing. Early Oscar predictions, main categories. I have no idea. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for Best Picture, plus some actor ones. Midsummer's probably going to get some technical ones. I wouldn't guess Best Picture. I wouldn't guess Best Screenplay either. Maybe it would because there's some themes and about breakups and toxic relationships or something, but it's also very straightforward on its main plot. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. Maybe they'll do the superhero, throw him a bone. They like to do that from time to time, so maybe they would because he's been nominated before, for Chaplin 25 years ago. I don't have much more than that. I'm not a Best Picture. I'm not an Oscar guy, so that's not my strong point. What do you got?
Have you seen Justified?
We've seen, 3-4 seasons of Justified? I mean, I got a season right here, right behind me. we really liked it, but it's like a lot of shows where sometimes it's just tough to binge through everything, and then with the channel, it's like I'm not going to talk about it, so then it just disappeared, and it didn't become one that we ever finished. But we've had fun with it, and we enjoyed everything we watched. We enjoyed. There was no like, oh, we hated season 4, so we stopped. There's nothing like that. It was just a show that, and some of it, we were watching it a little bit while it was still on, and so it would be like, what's the season that we can stream? What's the season we can buy? And we watched that one, and then we'd get out of the groove of watching it. So it's stuff like that, or we never finished it. Final question, make it amazing.
Oh man.
Or just run over to the chat myself and figure out what they're dropping in right now.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, you just put so much pressure on me to pick the right one.
Little Big Sauce, do you want Venom and Deadpool in the MCU? Venom more so than Deadpool. Deadpool, I think there's a way to transition Tom Hardy Venom over and make it work because it's PG-13. And do kind of cousin. I think they should, if they did some more cousin stuff and kind of, the Marvel, Netflix, the TV shows have always been kind of cousins. If they do a better job with that, I think they could pull it off. Deadpool, pretty nervous about that. I want Ryan Reynolds to continue, and with the fourth wall breaking, you can. He wasn't like deep-rooted X-Men or anything like that. So you could transition him over, but I don't want them to neuter it. I just don't see a lot of value in that.
Neuter a movie.
No. Grand Champion, will Doctor Strange 2 be rated R or PG-13? It'll be PG-13. There's no chance it'll be rated R. Justin Barton, Tom Hardy's Wolverine. I hate it. Because I don't want to see Mad Max's Wolverine.
They've been asking about Danny DeVito as well.
It's an internet meme. I don't want to see Bane as Wolverine. I don't want to see Eddie Brock as Wolverine. And so he has too much star power. He's too many franchises that I just don't want someone like that. If we were in the year 2012, I would give you a huge thumbs up. He would be perfect. He'd be amazing. You watch him in the movie Warrior. He clearly could do the physicality. And then Bane, you didn't see his face, so it's not too distracting. And physically looked very different, so it wouldn't be a problem. But then as soon as he's actually the face of Mad Max, as soon as he's the face of Eddie Brock Venom, it just pulls him out of the running for me. People constantly ask me, will I see Good Boys? I'm not going to review Good Boys. It's off-brand. Movies, I'm not a big get the underage kids to the party while doing drugs. That's not my genre, so doing it with tweens is really not for me. It's been like this big weird thing on Twitter for days. It's kind of been a nightmare. Like I don't really want to chime in on it too much. Like I don't want to be the wet blanket for anyone else. I'm not stealing anybody's joy. It's just not for me. Why isn't it for you? Well, I'm just not someone that enjoys the genre. But you did Dora. Is that your genre? Well, I took my kids to go see Dora. Well, I don't want it. I just want to not watch it, not review it. Tell you I'm not doing it because it feels off-brand. It's not for me. Let it be. And people on Twitter do not like that. Gamer Girl. Hey, Gamer Girl. What's my thoughts on the Addams Family? I haven't really dug the trailers too much. I'm not feeling it just yet. And I don't know that I like that it's not live action. So it just feels off. So I'm not feeling it. It's another one that comes out during my little stay in California, so it's messing me up. Gamer Girl, have you seen the Marvel movie news on YouTube? I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, it took two from the same person.
Have you watched every extended Fast and Furious, including the short films and spin-offs?
No. I don't think so.
I
think we've watched the extended version, but I don't know what's extended about them, so... Tommy Polhojev, once again, I'm very sorry for mispronouncing. Find that final question for me. Oh. Thoughts on Netflix Witcher? So I haven't seen the trailer. I think they dropped the trailer. I haven't seen it. That they got Henry Cavill. I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm going to check it out but I've never played the game, so I don't have a good history on any of it. But just because Henry Cavill's in it, based on him alone and wanting to see him with a new look, I'm going to check it out. But I don't know much about it. I haven't seen the trailer. Axel Paul had a super chat with no question. Thank you so much for that. And our final question of the day.
Hector.
Hector,
I think so. I can't see his picture.
That it looks like him, Hector DJ. That is almost certainly him. Hector DJ, what are your thoughts on Handmaid's Tale? We've never seen it. We just haven't watched it. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I'm scared of it, but
how could that not be him?
it has to be him.
Why would? Yeah, it's got to be him. He's called me bro, and that is clearly him in the picture. If you don't know, Hector DJ, the person in the chat, was my supervisor at my previous job. We go to the movies a little bit. He was one of the people I went to go see Endgame with opening night. We saw Halloween last year.
So much fun today.
So I can't wait. I need to find the right movie to take him to a press screening pretty soon. So hey, Hector. Yeah, he was a fun one to watch. It was him and my buddy Andy was there. So two great people to watch a movie like Endgame with. But we haven't watched Handmaid's Tale, unfortunately. So I've heard a lot about it. I just didn't. Sometimes if I don't get on a show on the front end, I don't want to play catch up on 2 or 3 seasons. And that's kind of what happens sometimes with these shows is that I fall behind and it's like, I guess I just missed it. So that's what happened kind of with Handmaid's Tale for me. So do you have one final one that feels like a more universal question?
What are the chances of Shazam 2?
Oh man, 50-50 because it's out. There've been talks like they want to do it, and feel like they need to like do it. It was received well, but it didn't do great at the box office. But also wasn't super expensive, so that's a tough one. Loch Ness Lone Stir. What's your favorite Batman the Animated Series episode? I don't know. There's Heart of Ice, the retelling of Mr. Freeze is great.
Ooh,
I always like the one Forgotten, where they're like suddenly out in the desert and he loses his memory and it's, they're at like a work camp place. I always like that one. It's kind of weird, goofy, but
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
You're laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
I just have to say, there's a lot of really iconic ones. The retelling of Harvey Dent was stretched, or Two-Face, Harvey Dent's origin was stretched over several episodes in a very cool way. So it's a show with a lot of classic episodes. I think we got another super chat in here, so maybe this will be our last one. Axel Paul, thoughts on Arrested Development? So we actually already talked about this earlier on, so we watched the first original run and the first Netflix season. I haven't watched the later ones. It's a show that's always entertained me. Always really enjoyed it when I have watched it. It's also a show that requires a lot. It's not a show that's an easy just throw on in the background like The Office. It's one you have to invest in, watch full seasons, watch the whole series kind of, to catch all the jokes because it's so intertwined. And which is what I love about it, but it's also what makes it a little bit distant for me as a show that I don't go back to quite as much. So, Pilly J, please, Sean, please.
Oh, I messaged him.
So, he's also but Endgame did suck. No, it didn't. So you're causing trouble.
Yep.
Troublemaker.
Pot stirrer.
So.
Ooh, are you excited for Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers?
I haven't watched that trailer yet.
What? So I think, remember when we heard everything about the other Mr. Rogers movie?
We did.
Like,
we
I
did.
cried as soon as it started. I think this is going to be that for us. I think this movie is going to destroy us.
So.
Like we expected the other one to.
Lex Kohler, rank the Back to the Future movies. I've got a video where I did that. We'll end on that happy note where you got your wish of me ranking those movies. Now, everyone has a homework assignment. Is there one more? Max Bodel with the super chat. Thank you so much for that. There was no question attached. If you want to throw it real quick, Max, I am staring right now into this looking for it. Caleb Cook, are you more excited for Terminator Dark Fate or Rambo Last Blood? Rambo Last Blood. Maybe if they get a better trailer for Dark Fate, I'll get more excited. I'm generically excited because it's a Terminator movie, but I'm not crazy about the trailer they put out there thus far and what they've said about it. Where Last Blood, I'm just on board. So, looks like right now Stallone feels like he's winning.
What were you looking for? Can I help?
Max Bell had to see if he has a question.
Thoughts on The Boy?
Thoughts on The Boy.
That's what it says. I'll look back and see if there's more.
I don't know. I don't know who The Boy is, but we got
That's what he said.
We got a couple more super chats. We'll close out on these for real this time.
Okay, I'm gonna look for
Gaming with the Rum super chat. Thank you so much. Have you seen The Game with Michael Douglas? Yeah, I've seen it several times.
Ooh, I love that movie.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool little thriller film. I enjoy Michael Douglas as an actor. I enjoy him.
Sorry, Max Boydell was talking about The Boys.
So I got a review of The Boys. It's on my channel, so my full thoughts are on there. We both watched it. I was shocked she watched it. I thought shocked she watched the whole first episode. She did, but so the game, yeah, I've seen it many times. Enjoy it. Very good little film. Thriller. Not necessarily the movie that makes the biggest impact, but a nice little ride. Majestic Demon, most anticipated with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Close out on this. Most anticipated movie for the rest of 2019. I'll have a video on this on Saturday. That's my video for Saturday. If you guys don't know this, in my community tab, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, I post what I'm planning on sharing for the week all over the place. So you can know what I'm planning on doing. Saturdays is most anticipated for the rest of the year. But I think Star Wars The Last Jedi, I think, is my number one most, just because it is Star Wars. But Last Blood, pretty high up there. Even Ready or Not for next week, very excited about that one. I am excited about Terminator Dark Fate generically, because I want to have another great Terminator movie. Trailer number 1 didn't really do it for me. Joker, very curious about that film. And, of course, Frozen 2, my most anticipated movie of the year. So, anyway, I'm curious about that one, too. So, Star Wars, though. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for the many super chats, for caring what I have to say, for being friendly to my wife. She didn't seem like you guys were mistreating her too much, so that worked well.
They've been very nice today.
Yeah, thank you for being friendly. So, there's days where some of these times, like, she's over there making faces and like, uh-oh, maybe we should end early because the trolls have come out. But you guys have been a very wonderful group of people. We didn't have kids tonight, so we got to go watch a shark movie, and I got to eat a fish. My mom bought me a 2-foot-long salmon at Sam's today, and we don't have kids, so 9 months from now we might have another baby.
Shut your face.
We might have another baby 9 months.
You're the worst.
So I got to go eat that fish because I'm tired and drink my sodas, and my wife's giving me funny looks. Maybe that won't happen after all.
Shut your face.
Keep talking movies.
Oh,
you're wondering what I'm really like, what my actual sense.
Exactly
what did I do wrong? What? You're wondering what I'm like in real life.
His filter's off right now.
Why is my filter off?
Good night, everyone.
This is why you got to stay to the end of these. That's when you get tired Sean that's about to pass out to just start staying.